15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Ford's second free throw is good. Inbound to McCain. His heave of the buzzer is no good. And North Carolina State's magical March run continues. For the first time since 1983, North Carolina State is going to the Final Four. NC State beats Duke 76-64.
That is courtesy of the Westwood One NCAA Radio Network, and we have got ourselves a Final Four. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, NC State, the darlings of this tournament. They will face Purdue, Perloff, when the tournament moves to Phoenix. We've got UConn and Alabama on the other side, but this is all about the big man, DJ Burns. It's his world right now. We're just all living in it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll get to see more than 11 minutes of him after he fouls out against Purdue.
No.
I don't know how he's going to cover Zach Edey.
Well, nobody does.
But I think since they beat Duke in the the ACC tournament, they've kind of been America's team. What an incredible run. This, to me, is the most unlikely run. Gosh, I can remember. You have the small schools, but this is probably the most unlikely run since the all-time Cinderellas like Villanova, NC State in the 80s. This is going down is a historical surprise run to me.
Okay, this has been a great run, and you've had the two DJs yesterday with DJ Burns goes 13 for 19, 29 points. Earth to John Shire and Duke. You might want to double team this guy. That didn't happen. DJ Horn, 18 points. They've now won 9 straight. They've beaten Duke twice. Now, you mentioned the ACC tournament, excuse me, and now they've done it in the NCAA tournament. They are not a Cinderella to me. This is a great story. I'm not trying to take away from the story. I love it. America should be rooting for them. This is not a classic Cinderella. This isn't George Mason. This isn't VCU. This is not Butler. NC State is a basketball program first, and they are a team that's now having success. You cannot be a Cinderella, Perloff, to me, if you beat Virginia, Duke, and North Carolina on your way to making the tournament. The idea of the Cinderella, in my mind, is more of either the mid-major or that small school who has no experience or very little experience playing some of these huge programs. NC State is awesome, but they play in the best basketball conference in America in the ACC. So I can't call them a Cinderella, even though this is the first time they're back in the Final Four since 1983.
Yeah, but the term Cinderella came about, I think, in the 80s in the NCAA tournament when, teams like Nova and NC State made deep runs. Until recently, there was no Florida Atlantic VCUs. Cinderella came out as it could be a big conference team. You're just not expected to be there, and you beat sort of a David beating a Goliath.
Right.
So I think the all-time Cinderella to me is Villanova, and they're the same boat. They were a Big East team that beat Georgetown with Patrick Ewing in 1985. I just think exceeding expectations, surprise team. To me, that's Cinderella. Also, NC State, they're a basketball school. What the heck have they done since 1983? Well, they've done nothing.
Again,
that's a long time, Maggie. That's 41 years.
Well, it's not nothing, but when I think of, you and I just have a different term here because I get it where NC State was sort of left for dead. 17-14 the regular season. They had to go on this crazy run. UConn had to do this too with Kemba Walker where they were left for dead and they had to go on a crazy run. I never thought UConn, even though it was unexpected, that was not a Cinderella type run to me.
What seed was UConn that year?
Winning the Big East tournament will get you a nice seed. But
NC State won the ACC tournament.
Right, but they were 17-14. I'm just saying you can have this great run, and nobody was calling UConn with Kemba Walker a Cinderella team. And I know UConn has had a bit more success than NC State over the last 40 years, but still, I think if you play in a major conference, you are not deemed a Cinderella. We're talking about NC State, who have now become the darlings of this tournament. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean, also to their style. DJ Burns by the way, he's playing since that Duke game. He's playing out of his mind. He was not that good a player during the season. He came out of nowhere. They have Danny Cannell's nephew, Mr. Hustle guy, Middlebrooks, DJ Horn. These are not likely guys. They just everything about them feels like Cinderella to me. Their coach, I don't think anybody's really knew much about him coming in. Just the unexpectedness to me. And also, too, they're the definition of NCAA tournament darling. They beat Duke, who I think 50% of the nation, maybe 60% hates. I don't think people love Zach Edey either. So if they beat Zach Edey, I think that is going to make everyone have more love for this team. This is every definition of a Cinderella in the sense we love them, we're rooting for them. They're the little guy. You're right. They are a kind of a historical basketball team, but they feel like the little guy in this tournament. That's what you want out of a Cinderella.
I love it. Calling DJ Burns the little guy when he is 6'9". And how many bills is DJ Burns pushing?
Wait till he stands like this. Wait till he stands like the Zach Edey. He's going to look like our old producer Mike Samter.
All right, here is DJ Burns talking about, you mentioned their coach Kevin Keatts. We're talking about NC State punched their ticket to the Final Four, first time since 1983. It's historic. I don't think they're technically a Cinderella. Perloff says they are. Here's Burns talking about his head coach Kevin Keatts, who was on the hot seat until they started this run in the ACC tournament.
Man, he kind of, changed the trajectory of what I had going on, I was up at Winthrop and, didn't really know how this was going to play out when I put my name in that portal. And honestly, I didn't even at first think I was coming here. So for this, it's just an absolute blessing. And I think that man needs a lot more respect still.
Outcoached John Shire yesterday, without a doubt, in that second half. Duke could not get into their rhythm. And I don't know why they weren't trying to throw a few more bodies at DJ Burns. Kyle Filipowski fouls out with 5 minutes left to go in the game. I mean, Duke was discombobulated in the second half.
I mean, the officials, of course, tried to step in and help Duke with that ridiculous technical.
How insane was that? If you weren't watching it, the coach, Kevin Keatts, for NC State, when the game was within 8 maybe or 10, they called Kevin Keatts, the coach, for a technical foul for being outside the coach's box. How in the second half of an Elite Eight game could you ever make that call?
And it was after what looked like the wrong call because Filipowski threw the ball. That's when he threw the ball up and hit the scorer, the 24-second clock or whatever they call it. And Filipowski, by the way, fouled out, and he was leading with his elbow the entire game. He deserved every foul he got. In fact, could have had even more, I thought. So here's the thing about NC State. You forget, they're old. They're way older than this Duke team.
They are.
So I think it actually is a classic NCAA tournament story. The trend is the older teams usually win. So NC State, in that sense, should not be a big surprise. These guys are all graduate transfers or graduates. Duke is somewhat young. I mean, I don't think this Duke team, it's funny, they look like the Goliath in this case. They were not really a classic Duke team. They were a 4 seed. So, but it's still fun to see them go down. Sorry.
Well, they still have two guys who are going to the NBA in Filipowski and McCain. I mean, Duke definitely still has a lot of talent. Is this disappointing? Listen, I think Duke's still finding their way past Coach K, but John Shire got outcoached in this game, and that deserves to be said.
I hear you. I don't see it that way. I think Duke did not have a great team this year. And obviously, when was Coach K a 4 seed? That rarely happened. It's hard to follow a legend. I was thinking that too. Poor John Shire. It is a really tough job, especially in today's game where you can't just out-recruit everybody. So, but NC State, when that technical came down, I'm like, oh my God, the powers that be want Duke in this final because, I don't know about this Final Four. It's another unexpected Final Four. It doesn't have Florida Atlantic.
You don't like this one?
I mean, it is unexpected. This is, I will say, Duke not being there cuts the ratings significantly, I think.
Okay, but let's just talk about what we're watching. Forget the ratings for a second.
Well,
we're talking about the men's Final Four, obviously. So you get UConn, who's on a quest for back-to-back.
Big time.
Then you have Alabama, first time ever in the Final Four.
That is not what you expect.
NC State, now darling of the tournament.
Yes.
And you get Purdue on the revenge tour. I love this Final Four. I'm surprised you're not into this.
Oh, I'm totally into it. I just think that it's definitely not going to be the ratings bonanza that they might have hoped. Because you don't have Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky. I think this is, again, black and blue blood in the sense that you have UConn and 3 teams that haven't sniffed the Final Four in 4 decades.
Yes.
So I get it. It's just a little bit unexpected. In fact, to the point where I think my original bet that the women's final could outrate the men's final. It's going to be tough because now UConn's become a thing. But you have to admit, Duke advancing would have been gigantic for the powers to be.
Listen, I'll give you UConn. If it's UConn, Purdue, I think you're still getting a huge rating. I think that people, you mentioned people are in on UConn now, but the games are unwatchable because they keep winning by 30 points. So you don't even have to tune in for the second half. I think Purdue now has really grabbed people's attention, but we start the show with NC State. Are they a real Cinderella or not? I say no. You can't be a Cinderella coming from the ACC. And I guess you'd say, Maggie, would you have considered Clemson a Cinderella? Probably because they're a football school. I mean, Clemson really has no identity basketball-wise, or very little. NC State has an identity basketball-wise. The women's team is also in the Final Four, or the Elite Eight. No, the Final Four. This is like a basketball school. So to call them a Cinderella, a basketball school playing in a basketball conference. So to say that they're a Cinderella, to me, the slipper doesn't fit.
Well, Clemson was a 6 seed. You think that Clemson would have been more of a Cinderella? I don't think anyone would call Clemson a Cinderella because they were a 6 seed.
Okay, then that just proves my point.
Yeah.
You come from these big conferences, even if you're a middle of the pack in those conferences, I don't think you get the Butler, VCU, George Mason. You're not in the same category.
Right, but I think it's a miracle that NC State's even here. They easily could have lost that opening game in the ACC tournament. The fact that it's so unlikely to me makes them a Cinderella. Also, they just feel like a Cinderella. Like this DJ Burns, he just has all the elements of, wow, I can't believe this guy. I understand he is 6'9", he's a big guy, but he's not going anywhere in the pros. So this is his run too. That's the fun part about all this. This is all you're going to see out of these NC State guys.
You know what's funny? And we're talking about NC State and their run, and are they a Cinderella? You always say something, and I generally agree with you, which is that nobody loves the big man. I think that has totally changed for this tournament. I think we're all about the big man in this tournament because Zach Edey is the number one story for Purdue. DJ Burns is the number one story for NC State. You've got Donovan Clingan for UConn. The big men are the thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, kids are walking on the street saying, man, that Donovan Clingan, he is such a rim protector. Wow. Did you see the shooting efficiency of Illinois when Clingan was on the court? Get out of here.
You still won't buy into the big man.
No, I want to see some wing guy dunking on everyone's head. I do. DJ Burns is an exception because he's all kinds of awesome. But no, I do not think that the average kid is into Zach Edey and Donovan Clingan. I do not. No, the big men. The
big men are headlining this Final Four.
Do you think that's a good thing?
I think people are into it.
It's not Carmelo Anthony. I mean, that would be. I don't know. I don't think people are going to be that into it. Watching, Zach Edey backs down foul. Zach Edey backs down foul. Zach Edey backs down foul. Get out of here.
Well, they've got to find a better way to be officiating Zach Edey. We'll talk about that a little bit later because, I mean, it's crazy that he gets no fouls called on him at all. Not every possession can be a foul. EJ, I know this bothers you to no end.
Still getting over that Gonzaga loss on Friday where he fouled out our entire front line, and he's bludgeoning people under the basket, and he had like one foul the whole game.
They just do not call the whistle on this guy. 855-212-4CBS. Okay, so the conversation starts with NC State. Are they a true Cinderella? Maybe put that up on social at Maggie and Pearl. Meanwhile, let's hit the phones. Gary's in Vancouver, has a thought this morning on one of the big men in this tournament. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, guys. I just heard about this kid. I was listening to Sportsnet on my hockey puck, and I heard about it, and they said 7'4", 300 pounds, Zach Edey, and I just thought to myself, you've got to be kidding. And the reason I mentioned this is when I was 13, I met a guy that is no longer with us at 7'2", and his playing weight was 320. None other than Wilt Chamberlain.
Wait, Gary, you've called before. You met Wilt Chamberlain in a grocery store, right?
Thank you for remembering. Absolutely.
I'm never going to forget that story.
You could have heard the pin drop in the store, and I got right beside him, and he made my dad look like a kid, and I asked him for his autograph. I still have it. And this Wilt Chamberlain was huge. And he made all these other college kids are 6'9" and 250. We're talking 7'4" and 300 pounds, and he's 21. Give him some more hamburgers. Who's going to cover him?
Well, Gary, I don't think the hamburgers are the weight's not the problem. Gary, thanks so much for the phone call. And yes, that Wilt story that you told us is legendary. How many times do you think Gary's told that story?
I don't know. It's a good one.
You don't.
But Will was 7'2" in an era where there were not a lot of 7'2" guys. Is Zach Edey? Zach Edey, there's a bunch of 7'3" guys in the NBA. You got Wemby, you got Gobert.
Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, he's not going. I think there are guys who can cover Zach Edey in the NBA. It's a little different. I understand what he's saying in college, but he doesn't feel Will Chamberlain-esque to me, size-wise.
No, I'm wondering if Zach Edey is even going to be special in the NBA. I don't know what his future is. We can get more into that. But the hamburgers are not the problem. Edey's a sturdy guy.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Well, yeah, nowadays he's really big. I'm curious, how many players are as tall as Zach Edey in the NBA? Because there's got to be at least 10 or 11, right?
I don't think it's that high.
Okay.
Still probably a handful.
Probably a couple.
It's 7'4".
Yeah.
Again, we mentioned
not that many. You're right. I remember. Yeah, I heard an interesting debate about Zach. Is he going to be more George Murison or Yao Ming? That's what the comps you get when you're 7'4".
He last night, as they're cutting down the nets, yesterday afternoon, whatever, when they're cutting down the nets, he's standing flat-footed. Amazing. He didn't even have to get up on the ladder.
that said everything.
It's like, you know what it made me think? It made me think that the failures that they had last season and the seasons before are even more unforgivable than even previously thought. If you can stand flat-footed and cut down the nets, you should not lose to Fairleigh Dickinson University. Meanwhile, that's old history. 855-212-4CBS. Are the NC State Wolfpack, are they a true Cinderella in your mind? I say no. Perloff says yes. Let us know what you think at 855-212-4CBS.
Gosh, there's 2 7'4" guys. Is Boban on a roster somewhere? Because he's your other guy.
He was in the movie Hustle with you.
He's on every career. He's the most awesome 7'4" guy. That's who Zach Edey should aspire to be. Just the performance and commercials. And Wemby is 7'4", so he'll be. Wait, is Zach Edey 7'4"?
Yeah.
Or is he listed at 7'4"?
Yeah, he's listed at 7'4".
Okay, he's a big dude.
Is Boban on a roster? We'll find out on the break. I don't feel like I've been seeing him this year.
This list says he was on the Rockets at some point, and KP Porzingis is listed at 7'3".
Yeah.
The point is, Zach Edey is not Will Chamberlain right now.
No, he's not. He also is not Kristaps Porzingis or Wemby.
Yeah.
Very different skill sets because those guys knock down threes and any outside jump shot. Zach Edey doesn't do that at all. Okay, get things going here. Big men running the tournament. 855-212-4CBS. Zach Edey, DJ Burns. This is a fun one. And your thoughts on the Cinderella of NC State. Coming up, major gaffe happened over the weekend. What was it and who needs to be held responsible? We're nailing people to the wall this morning on Maggie and Perloff. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Maggie, you know that I am a bullseye shooter in my weekly pickup run. Just deadly.
We've heard from you.
Yes.
We have no evidence.
And you know why? Because the three-point line, I play in a gym that the three-point line is basically like the old high school one where it's almost at the top of the key.
Oh.
And it makes nice. all the difference. Because as you move back to the college one, or God forbid, the NBA three-point line is basically a half-court heave for me. But the old high school one, now they moved it back a couple inches. I am fire from. So my point is, it does matter where the three-point line is. And we learned that lesson the hard way in the women's tournament this week.
Yeah, for sure. And Dexter Henry is here with headlines, and he's got this story because it was bonkers yesterday that in the year 2024, we're dealing with court issues. Good morning, Dexter.
Good morning, guys. We're going to start with that court issues on the women's side of the NCAA tournament. So here's the thing. Out in Portland at the Moda Center, there was a discrepancy in distance with the three-point line at each end of the court that was unnoticed through 4 games over 2 days. That's the crazy thing for me. Unnoticed over 4 games.
Yeah, what are people smoking out there in Portland? Come on, we love you, Portland. We've got a huge following in Portland. We love you. How did nobody notice this?
Nobody noticed this.
And the person who eventually noticed it was a fan, right? Somebody in the 300 level looked down on her or something.
Bird's eye view.
Bird's eye view was able to see the discrepancy, right? And so they didn't notice this until Texas and North Carolina were informed before their Elite Eight showdown on Sunday. And this is according to a statement by the NCAA. The team's coaches agreed to play Sunday's game as scheduled with the mismatched three-point lines rather than delay it. Now, the NCAA did not provide details about what the distance discrepancy was. However, one three-point line near the top of the key appeared to be about 6 inches closer to the basket than at the opposite end of the floor. And here's the interesting thing. Statistics showed that players actually struggled shooting on the end with the closer three-point arc.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so that was really interesting. And then we heard from Texas head coach Vic Schaefer. His team lost to NC State on Sunday, and he had this to say on the matter.
Well, I hate to say this, but I have a lot of colleagues that would say only in women's basketball. I mean, it's a shame, really, that it even happened. But it is what it is. I mean, I'm not the culprit here. You guys are asking me about something that I had no control over. So Vic Schaefer ain't the problem.
I love it. I mean, first of all, he's right. I doubt this would ever have happened in the men's game, and it's easy to be cynical like that. But I also would never put anything past the NCAA to screw up anything, men or women. Like if it was, every gender under the sun, the NCAA would find a way to screw it up. But I love the image of the two coaches walking off the paces, because basically one was a 3-point line where you're getting credit for a 3 when it was a 2.
It was 2.
So
Correct.
they're walking off it with in their loafers, like in some kind of, old Western, walk 10 paces, turn and shoot. I mean, it was silly, just silly.
I want to ask you guys this. And Perloff, you kind of mentioned this about shooting in the gym. I think we need evidence of how good of a shooter you are to see this. We need
You clearly don't follow me on social media.
No, Perloff always posts one video of him making one final shot from his basketball run, and it's always from the same side of the court.
Yeah,
the same shot.
Oh, I'm definitely on the left wing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I have videos out there of hitting 10 in a row and stuff like that.
Okay.
I will show. I have an injured knee right now. Otherwise, I'd take you outside right after the game and rain threes. You'd have to have an umbrella with the threes rain.
Oh wow. Okay. Didn't see this going this way, but I wanted to ask you guys this: do you think this affected play at all? And Maggie, you kind of hit on this. Is this another distraction for the NCAA during this women's tournament?
Oh my gosh, they look like fools. I mean, you are responsible for basically two things: amateurism and championships. You blew it on the amateurism part. I mean, that's now a complete sham. We all know it. Now you can't blow the championships. This is what the NCAA is ultimately responsible for, is putting on these tournaments. How do you have this kind of, first of all, how do you have this mistake? And we're talking about the discrepancy in the 3-point line on different sides of the court for the women's tournament in Portland. It's a 3-point game now, too. Women and men's side, you're launching threes at a crazy clip. You have to have these dimensions totally accurate. Now, what's crazy is you also couldn't, they felt like they couldn't delay the game because ABC, ESPN is putting on the women's game, the women's tournament, and they have a window that you have to be in to play the game. So to take an hour to repaint the court or whatever just wasn't an option.
Yeah, as I understand it, they paint the court in advance and ship the court over. So
you could repaint it, couldn't you?
I don't think you could.
I don't think you could repaint it. Most of the time, these courts are oftentimes almost like big puzzles where you just basically just put pieces of it together. So you would have had to essentially take those pieces out and have new pieces that fit the lines, but who knows how long that would have taken or if they even had those pieces available.
Anyone got any painter's tape?
Yeah, or that's the other thing you could do is tape sort of around it to extend, mark where it should be, and then do that, and you would see both lines on the court, but shoot from the one that's further away.
I used to love that. Down to like a controversial game-winning 3. I mean, this could have been so much
that's
worse.
Could have been bad.
For years they did have multiple 3-point lines on NCAA basketball. Yeah, so that's on. But it would feel weird right now.
Yeah, we haven't seen that in a long time.
Also, too, all the courts are so fancy these days. I'm old enough to remember it was just a normal court, and even that court was super fancy with all different weird colors. But I think they make them off-site and ship them in. So I don't know if repainting was an option.
Man, I mean,
I think it would have been tape. You'd have had to tape and line
and have
around.
2 lines.
Yep.
Honestly, so tape it.
But that would be very confusing to have 2 lines. I think that would be tough too, because I think those 3-point shooters are very rhythm oriented, and to have to look down and see multiple lines might get them out of rhythm.
Imagine also having to have a wet paint sign and don't shoot around. That would be pretty funny, right?
Caution tape.
Yeah.
Wow.
That would not be good at all. But let's talk about some more college basketball Elite 8 action on Sunday. On the men's side, NC State, they got back to a place where they hadn't been in a while.
Born the other way, shovel it off Burns, jump stop, leans in, puts it up, in and one. DJ Burns, a chance for another 3-point play.
Guys, how about Wolfpack big man DJ Burns? DJ Burns Jr., scored 21 of his 29 points in the second half. His team dumped Duke 76-64. They win the South Regional, and with the win, NC State moves on to the Final Four. That's the program's first trip there since it won the tournament back in 1983.
I love my favorite fact about DJ Burns, well, 2. One, that he plays like upright bass. big man playing a big instrument. Very funny to me. Funny image, but very cool Renaissance man kind of thing. And also he owns a vending machine company.
Huh.
So he's responsible for putting vending machines in different places.
I like that.
What a great side hustle.
It is a great side hustle.
And I feel like when you're a big man like that, you probably have a few opinions on what should go in your vending machine. Like, you're not just leaving it to the experts. That's probably a very curated machine, I would hope.
I would think so.
When you're 275, you've probably visited a couple vending machines in
He's
your day.
He's a vending machine expert. That's what you're saying.
I would hope that maybe he could send some over here, because we have the very infamous issue of having the snacks along with the sodas in the same machine. So you're getting these cold chips and cold, maybe a cold Snickers might not be so bad. People like frozen chocolate, but we have these weird cold candies and snacks with our also sodas and waters and all the stuff that's in there. So maybe he can come in and kind of sort out our issues.
Man, our vending machine is just whack.
Last year, there was an explosion in there where one of the soda cans had just completely blew up, and it was just like a weird Diet Coke Frosty along the entire screen
of
the vending machine. And I thought that'd be enough to maybe get things changed around here, but apparently not.
Probably not the first time it's happened. Like, this again. Another soda exploded. What's your go-to vending machine thing?
You're
not a snacker.
I would say if we interviewed DJ Burns Jr., would we first question be, hey, can you come and fix our vending machine? Is that where we're headed here?
Who do we need to call?
Question.
Yeah.
Because if that's his business, he would be into expanding into New York. My go-to, I don't like anything in that vending machine because you get a Kind bar and it's like frozen through.
Yes.
Although I did, as a kid, I used to freeze devil dogs and freeze yodels. Did you guys ever do that?
Oh, no.
Frozen devil dog is like ice cream.
But it's like frozen cake.
Yes, it's amazing. A frozen devil dog was a thing.
Wow.
Nobody ever done that?
Never thought to try it. Okay.
If our machine had devil dogs, you guys would like it. But you're right. The vending machine is a disaster. I'm just so excited. At some point working here, they fixed the coffee situation. The coffee situation used to be a disaster. Now it's pretty good.
It's weird to have a place that's open 24/7. Like, the coffee's got to be, you're running a news organization here.
Yeah.
Like, we all work all different hours of the day. To not have coffee is criminal.
Honestly, the only Boomer Esiason has led that charge. He has been very vocal about having
a league MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're lucky that we work weekdays, because as someone who used to work weekends,
same.
When nobody's over there to actually put the coffee in and fix it,
Terrible.
Usually you're getting just like coffee that's cold that's been sitting in there for 2 days.
Yeah,
that's the reality.
Boomer ain't here on the weekends. They don't care.
Exactly.
Andrew Perloff complaining about the coffee, that fell on deaf ears. Boomer comes in and says, this crap is cold. That actually went very far. But the vending machine, also, it's 6 to 10 a.m. It's not really a vending machine. It's more, anybody who goes into a vending machine at 6 a.m., that's kind of weird, right?
It's usually people who are ending their night. It's like ending the shift.
The food in there is not very early morning friendly.
That big Texas cinnamon bun.
Yeah.
Putting down that at 6
I've never
a.m.
seen anyone order one of those.
Those same two, there's two left in there because I pass by them every time I walk in. We're talking about the vending machines at our office because DJ Burns from NC State has a vending machine company. Those two Texas big buns have been sitting there for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Who's going to find? Is today the day?
Today's the day you go and you see there's just one.
No, is today the day that we actually go get them?
No.
I think we should.
I think we should too. Let's just put these Texas buns out of their misery.
I mean,
they've been sitting there for so long.
I'm not eating it.
Yes, that's a pass for me.
I got 3 more hours left on the show. Yeah. I'm not trying to be in the bathroom the rest of it.
Do we microwave it? Because it is probably freezing. So it's a frozen bun you're getting out of that.
I thought you'd want to freeze it some more.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, like the devil dog?
Yeah, like the devil dog.
You guys have never done that. You've never put.
I've heard of this. I've never tried it. I've heard it's good.
Okay, that's another food experiment we have to try.
That I'm willing to try for sure.
Any more headlines, Dex?
Yeah, got one more. Talk back to the women's side. Got a couple more actually. But South Carolina, they're back on the women's side in a familiar place for the second consecutive year. The Gamecocks, they reached the Final Four with an undefeated record, 35-0 South Carolina. They outlasted Oregon State on Sunday, 70-58. They're going to Cleveland, and considering head coach Dawn Staley lost her entire starting five from last year's squad that fell to Iowa in the Final Four, she appreciates that she's back in the national semifinals.
Because we beat the odds. I mean, the odds said that we weren't, we shouldn't make it back to the Final Four. Just proud of our team and for them believing in themselves. They created a certain level of chemistry and culture.
Yeah, talk about Cinderella. That whoever saw this South Carolina team coming, wow, you beat the odds. I mean, I love Dawn Staley, she's from Philly, but she did not beat the odds here.
This is the nobody believed in us. How did this happen? We only won 33 games in a row.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
They're going to see if they can cap this undefeated championship. We'll see if that can happen. The Elite Eight on the women's side continues tonight. 2 more games. Got LSU versus Iowa. That's a rematch of last year's national championship game, followed by UConn versus USC. Excited to see those two. NBA, the debate for GOAT between Jordan and LeBron is only going to intensify some more, guys. King James put up a nice performance in Brooklyn on Sunday night. LeBron dropped 40 for the Lakers over the Nets. 116-104 was a win. He joined MJ as the only players in NBA history with multiple games of 40 points or more after turning 39. James, he's now done it twice. Jordan, who played until he was 40, he did it 3 times. Does this
count?
Wait, yes. I'm shocked. I told this about you. Michael Jordan scored 40 after 39 because I remember him just missing dunks in Washington.
Well, he had some big games in Washington.
Yeah.
It wasn't as many as he used to in Chicago, but he had some. I remember he put like 50 on the Nets. Richard Jefferson got baptized in D.C. I'll never forget that.
But, I mean, also, they were still relying on Jordan at 40 to be, like, a really huge – to be the offense.
Yeah.
The Wizards teams were not good at all.
No, it was him and Jerry Stackhouse fighting for shots.
Yeah, right. They didn't make the playoffs.
Very sad days in Washington during that time.
But I will say, when we do the Jordan-LeBron debates around here, which we've been known to – we dedicated an entire week to it last summer, some of our best shows – I think that the longevity of LeBron does matter.
Right.
But in this case, I guess Jordan matches him in this one. I mean, LeBron, they're fighting for the playoffs. When Jordan's scoring 40 for the Wizards, it was for nothing.
Right, and that's why you think Frank Gore is way better than Barry Sanders. He's longevity.
Yes.
We really
Highland.
care about longevity.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Adonis Haslam is better than both of them because he's still playing, I think. He's 53 years old.
Hey, wait, 1 second quickly, not to take a left turn on Udonis Haslam. Have you guys seen him broadcasting yet on NBA TV?
I saw him for the first time last night.
Who is this man?
He's on NBA TV?
I had no idea. I was watching the Warriors Spurs game, which ended up being really exciting down to the minute. Udonis Haslam, the enforcer, the mean kind of angsty sort of coach, slash player.
Tough guy, yeah.
Tough guy.
Ultimate tough guy.
I mean, light as a daisy. It's like... It's like happy, he's light, he's smiling. I'm like, who's the real guy? Was it the basketball guy or is it this guy? Because you would not, their faces look different because he's so happy on TV.
I mean, that guy did, 18 years under a Pat Riley Heat regime? You might as well go to basic training. I mean, that's a long time. And I'm sure he is as happy as hell to be away from that.
He chose it for all those years.
No, he chose it's life he chose, but now I'm sure like the anxiety that comes with being the lieutenant under a Pat Riley regime, that's got to be a lot of pressure.
Tell you what, didn't take any years off his face because he looks happy. He looks young. I couldn't believe it was him.
It shocked me too. And he was extreme. He was well dressed. Not saying that he wasn't before, but he's looking good in the studio.
Yeah, but during his playing career, he never did much of that stuff. I never saw him
ever.
A lot of the guys on TV, like Draymond's already got a show basically.
Right.
And KG was in the press. But I think all those like really tough guys, a lot of them are totally different off camera.
I guess. I mean, it was amazing how he could look and act so salty when he was playing, and then his on-camera demeanor is totally different. I get Charles Barkley was different than he is now, but even this was like zippity doodah compared to Charles Barkley.
I would argue Draymond Green is the biggest split. He's the most frenetic guy because he is super calm on mic, and he is super not calm on the court.
For now.
Yeah.
For now.
Do you think, I don't know, Draymond gets on mic and he feels totally in control, and he's totally off control in the court.
Because he's a very good talker.
Very good.
I mean, he's
trash
very
and
good.
otherwise.
He talks trash, and he's very effective at it. I think it's not the crazy man aspect that he brings to his podcasting. I think it's the trash talking that he brings, which he's very good at and very measured in. I think that probably helps him a ton in this media game he's trying to do.
I got to hear this, Udonis Haslam, because that is shocking to me. He was terrifying to me as a player. So tough.
Think about it. Isaiah Thomas, right? Who's like the most smiley, whatever I think about Isaiah from back in the Knicks days. But the Isaiah Thomas is the most smiley media person, right, of all time. he looked like he was in a funk compared to Udonis Haslem.
That's another one. Isaiah would literally murder you on the court if he couldn't win any single game. Another guy who's also quite different in broadcasting.
Dexter, thank you so much. Coming up, the most dominant team left in the tournament. We get to that next. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I have secured the big Texas cinnamon roll from the vending machine.
Let me see that bad boy. Wow.
I think this thing has been in here for months. I mean, we started the morning show in October. It's definitely been in there since October.
Actually, I didn't even realize it said Big Texas. Is Big Texas known for its cinnamon rolls?
Yeah, I don't know. There's no expiration date on this thing. This is also very scary. Anyway, it's also not cold.
Okay.
Whoops.
Maybe did they just restock
No.
the vending machine? Was DJ Burns here this morning?
Yeah, so DJ Burns from NC State is a tournament darling, also has a vending machine business on the side, which got us in talking about vending machines. Can go right now to Maggie and Pearl on social media. You can vote in our poll. Is NC State a Cinderella? Perloff says yes. I say no. I don't think you can be a Cinderella if you come from the ACC. But Perloff, I'm sure you're looking at their seed, which is 11.
Yeah, so they're, the 7th, 11th seed, and they're stuck with all the VCUs and the George Masons and all the smaller conference teams, but they are a Cinderella in the sense that nobody thought they were going to be here. I think that's what a Cinderella, as I recall the plot of the movie Cinderella, it wasn't that she was from a small conference. It was that no one expected her to get the prince, hence the term
That's
Cinderella.
exactly how it went.
I think it all started with Villanova.
She's the AAC.
I think the term Cinderella, is associated with the tournament because of North Carolina State and Villanova in the 80s. There was no VCU back then, and the term's been around forever.
You can go and vote at Maggie and Pearl. Okay, the most dominant team left in the tournament, UConnHuskies.
Well, that's a hot take. That's a hot take right there. You mean the team that's defending champion and had a 30-0 run the other day?
How does a 30-0 run happen in a tournament like this? I mean, Brad Underwood in Illinois, what happened? But meanwhile, UConn is just absolutely steamrolling through this edition of the tournament. And even now in the Final Four, Perloff, in the men's side, where you have UConn, you have Alabama, who's in the Final Four for the first time. You have NC State in the Final Four for the first time in 40 years. And you've got Purdue in the Final Four for the first time in 43 years, I believe.
Is that right? Actually,
80, right? 1980?
1980 Purdue. Who's on that team? Was that Larry Nance? I remember Larry Nance was on some team that
Larry Nance played on Clemson.
Oh, he was on Clemson. I knew there was a team that was here. Okay, 1980 Purdue. It's amazing.
Okay, UConn versus the field in this Final Four. I know we talked about UConn versus the field when the tournament started.
Yeah.
We talked about UConn versus the field even when the Sweet 16 started. Now that it's down to the Final Four, would you still take UConn versus the field?
Oh, I'm not sure I'd bet it because I'm sure it's got to be minus 180 or something. I definitely would take UConn versus field. If I could get plus odds on that, I would take it 1,000 times out of 1,000. I don't even know if anyone gets within double digits of this UConn team. What have they covered? 10 straight games? And especially Alabama, because this first game against Alabama, if Alabama falls behind, they're going to be chucking threes like it's going out of style.
No doubt.
And they hit them the other night, but it seems like people can't hit their shots against UConn. Feels like we are headed towards, I'll say, 2 blowouts. 2 blowouts the rest of the Final Four. Not only are they my favorite, I don't think anyone's close. And I'm the idiot who didn't have them in my bracket in my Final Four because nobody repeats anymore, Maggie. But this team seems like they're built to defy those odds.
If they do what you anticipate, which is UConn, we're talking about going through the Final Four and basically going through this tournament untested. This accomplishment of going back-to-back for Dan Hurley and UConn would be a greater accomplishment than what Coach K did in the early 90s and what Billy Donovan did in the 06-07 Florida team. Because, first of all, the dominance by which you would have won, I think definitely has to factor in. And I think it's harder now. I do think it's harder because every time you have an ounce of success, now you have to worry about another coach poaching your kids to go to the transfer portal, or obviously getting, the starry eyes about going to the NBA. Coach K didn't have to worry about that. He knew he had Leitner for 4 years. He knew he had Grant Hill for 3. He knew that he was going to have time with these guys. And now that's not a given at all. So I would say with the challenges that face the modern game, Danny Hurley's back-to-back would be more impressive than Coach K's and Billy Donovan.
Well, I think that's negated because the teams Duke had to beat had the same thing. They got to keep their players. And the fact that Duke beat that UNLV team that was basically a dream team is way more impressive. UConn, look at their Final Four runs. We'll see. Maybe Purdue defies that and is a 1 seed, but they haven't beaten anyone higher than a 3 seed yet. I think you have to define them by their opponents. The Duke beat really probably the best college basketball team I've ever seen. Makes their run way more impressive to me.
The UNLV team.
The UNLV team. And they beat Kentucky. I mean, the fact that they went through what we call blue bloods and UConn may not be defined by a great opponent. Let's see. If Purdue gets advanced, and you could define this Purdue, but is it Purdue really an all-time opponent? Not really.
You have the 2-time National Player of the Year in Zach Edey, so I think they would count. I would also say this for Danny Hurley. Losing 3 starters from last year, which is Andre Jackson, Adama Sanogo, and Jordan Hawkins, all going to the NBA.
Yeah. I mean, it was a top 5 pick.
Team like that,
Perloff. Was it really a restock?
What's that?
Hawkins was near the lottery. Jordan Hawkins.
Near what was he picked?
14 or 15, I believe.
Oh, wow. Amazing that they survived the loss of that.
I'm just saying.
One of the best shooters in college basketball.
You did have to restock, and it'd be one thing. You mentioned it, and you said this stat about returning champs don't even get past the Sweet 16, right?
Yeah, no, it's been a long time.
So the fact that you would not only have to flip your roster in 3 key spots where you do have a new backcourt, you do have just new faces, and to be even better, win the Big East outright, win the Big East tournament. Now you're winning these tournament games by an average of almost 30 points. I mean, it's not even close. To me, would make this more impressive. You don't think so?
No, just because of the era of college basketball. I just think the sport is down. It's incredible. He is the best coach right now. He's incredible. You see his intensity sort of going into the team because the team could have a letdown at some point. That's what I think happens to defending champions. They have a letdown, and he is stopped them from doing that. So I give him full credit. But what Coach K did in the 90s was incredible. And as for the Florida team, that team is sort of forgotten by history. When you think of great college basketball teams, nobody says that team to me. I mean, yes, technically they were a great team, but that felt like a little bit of a one-off in the sense that Florida basketball never did anything since then or before then. So I don't consider them that great. But no, I think Coach K, what he did was really a miracle because there was no reason Duke should have gone back-to-back.
Let's hear from Danny Hurley. We're asking if Danny Hurley and UConn repeating as back-to-back champs, would that be more impressive than Coach K or what Billy Donovan did at Florida? Here is Dan Hurley, understanding that everyone really hates UConn right now.
We're a program. Our players have a lot of confidence and a lot of swagger, and our fan base, again, is obnoxious as on social. So everyone hates us. And it was a chance to celebrate with them because our fan base and our organization right now, it's an us against the world of college basketball.
It's interesting. I don't think of UConn as being this hated fan base and being this hated team. Sure, with the winning comes a lot of pressure, but for the most part, I think people have liked UConn. We liked Kemba Walker. I think people liked Ray Allen and liked Rip Hamilton. And these are likable stars that they've produced.
I don't think so. I don't think people like Jim Calhoun. I don't think outside of the Northeast, people really were into UConn.
But this is not a Duke situation where they're very polarizing.
No, I think people hate Duke, but I don't think UConn is hateable in the sense because they're so good. I don't really think it's like they're mean or they play dirty or anything like that. I just don't think the way UConn plays, to me, they don't scream of popular team nationally. They're just really, really good. I mean, what is fascinating about UConn, they just play incredible fundamental basketball, have a rim protector. Everybody's good, 1 through 5. They're tough. They're hard-nosed. To me, I don't know. I just don't see them as a wildly popular team. Maybe I'm totally off, but I've seen popular teams throughout college basketball. This isn't one like, man, I just like the Fab Five. Like you could get really into that.
Well, that was like a cultural phenomenon,
right?
As well.
Or I remember the Carmelo's run. I was like, oh, this is awesome. UConn just doesn't have that for me. I just don't think they're an exciting team nationally in the sense that other teams are. They're incredible, but for me, it's a little hard to get too into them.
It's interesting. I don't see UConn as a team where the country is really against them.
Maybe agnostic.
Maybe. I guess maybe I haven't seen enough of their fan base on social media being obnoxious as bleep, 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 Danny Hurley, that he just said. But I don't see people going, wow, anyone but UConn. No, I don't want to see them win the tournament. I don't think they inspire that kind of hate.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that. That's true. But I don't think people like this UConn team because Danny's tough in a good way. I think they have that a little bit of bad guy in them.
I'm telling you, Danny Hurley, Jim Harbaugh, giving me the same vibe. Coming up, a redemption story a year in the making.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
3 on the left wing for Ziegler. No good, it's short. Rebound, Fletcher Lawyer. 4 seconds to go. He's going to dribble it out. It's going to happen. And it's time to boil her up and put the hammer down to Glendale, Arizona. For the first time in 44 years, the Final Four includes Purdue.
They thought they knew us, man. They thought they knew what we had in our hearts. I promise you they didn't. We're winners. That's what we do.
The NCAA radio network, courtesy of Westwood One. Then you got CBS with the interview with Zach Edey after the game. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We saw a fired-up Zach Edey in Purdue yesterday. 40 points, 16 rebounds, 13 of 21 from the field, 14 of 22 from the free throw line. It was a dominant performance by Edey. And Perloff, I think in his mind and many people, Purdue has now redeemed itself from the terrible loss to Fairleigh Dickinson a season ago.
Oh, absolutely. And it's kind of a surprising run because not just a terrible loss to Fairleigh Dickinson, kind of a history of disappointing in the tournament.
Sure.
Jaden Ivey was there. She should have gone much farther. So this kind of redeems everything for Matt Painter to me. I feel like Matt Painter has secured his legacy as a good coach at Purdue because Purdue for a long time was not thought of as a top 10 team. He has him perennially up there, and I think now he has some tournament success. I think his job is done.
Really? Mission accomplished?
Mission accomplished. Nothing to lose here.
I gotta disagree with you on that. This is great. This is, opinions I think are changing about Zach Edey. I think my opinion is changing about Zach Edey and sort of how he can be successful in a tournament setting. But I don't think Purdue has exercised the demons yet, and I'll tell you why. Because Purdue gets NC State next. An 11 seed, which if they lose to NC State would actually continue the bad trend of losing to double-digit seeds. I get it. It's in the Final Four is different than the first round. But I think that if they lose to NC State, I think a lot of the air comes out of the balloon for Purdue. This is a game-changing player that Matt Painter has. You have somebody who the officials have no idea how to call games with Zach Edey. Offensively and in the paint, this dominant force that nobody else has seen and nobody has right now in college basketball. With that kind of an advantage, I think losing to the upstart Cinderella feel-good story of NC State, I think that's bad for Purdue. And again, I'm not trying to, take away from Purdue's moment, but it would be an all-time letdown to lose to an NC State team that up until 2 weeks ago was being left for dead in college basketball.
Yeah, I don't quite see it that way because NC State is clearly a better matchup than Tennessee. I've been watching a lot of Vols basketball since I adopted Dalton Connect about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, and the fan base came for you with pitchforks.
And I didn't realize that they were so devoid of big men until I saw their quote-unquote big men standing next to Zach Edey. I'm like, why is a two-guard covering their center? They had nothing inside, where NC State at least has DJ Burns and Ben Middlebrook. So I think this is not going to feel like an upset of NC State. It will be an upset, but to me, it's not a huge disappointment to Purdue. I understand where you're coming from. It is a 9-point spread, so they should win this one. But for some reason, and I've been calling them a Cinderella, it doesn't feel like a devastating legacy-defining loss for Matt Painter if he loses this one. I mean, honestly, if they advance to see UConn, they're probably going to lose that game. Is it that big of a difference if they lose in the 4-2?
I do. I think so. Because you have the loss to FDU, you have the loss to St. Peter's, you have the loss to North Texas. I mean, I get that NC State is on this really magical run. It's fantastic. But if you're Purdue, you've got to snuff that out. You're a number 1 seed. You have the back-to-back player of the year. And this is the moment. It can't just fall short now that you go to the Final Four. I think nothing short of the championship game would be a disappointment. Now, just sparing a thought for that game yesterday, wow. I mean, the Tennessee-Purdue game was incredible. When you have 2 stars, a Zach Edey and then a Dalton Knecht, the fact that both of those guys showed up in such a huge way in this game was something special. I thought that was a game I think we will not forget for a long time.
Yes, but I think this Tennessee team stinks. I mean, when Ziegler's not hitting his threes, somebody besides Knecht, they are very, very inconsistent. They have been the whole second half of the year. I think Purdue faces a much tougher challenge in this next game, believe it or not. Even with Knecht has the green light because nobody else is doing anything on that Tennessee team. I found them very disappointing this year. And honestly, I give Barnes credit because this was not a very talented team. The other thing about Purdue is, other than Zach Edey, to me, they're not an incredibly talented team either. That's why I won't be so disappointed if Matt Painter loses this one. I will not, because honestly, we started this tournament by really questioning his coaching ability because he had blown a lot of games.
Yeah.
And I think we put it on, he was the one constant. I think getting to the Final Four, he's good. He's going to get another 8 years at Purdue out of this.
Right.
Not that he was ever on the hot seat, but
I think if they had lost in the first round this year, I think he's probably gone.
But getting to the Final Four, I just disagree. I understand it is disappointing to lose to an NC State team, but getting to the Final Four is all he needed.
Let's hear a little more from Zach Edey. Can I get cut 2, please? I didn't realize this, so it was a little something extra on the game yesterday for Zach Edey, and that was Rick Barnes, the coach of Tennessee, was one of many coaches Edey says passed on him.
There were so many coaches that looked over me. Like, you could name a program, I can name a coach that looked over me. The Tennessee, Rick Barnes is a great coach, but he was in a bunch of our practice, looked over me. Like, it's kind of been the story of my life. People have doubted me. People look past me and can't do that anymore.
Yeah, but he's so big. You can't see around him.
I was like, who's looking over you?
Nobody's looking over you.
You're 7'4".
Unless they're sitting in the upper deck.
Right. I get that there is maybe this personal kind of vengeance thing here. And I think that Zach Edey personally has changed a lot of people's opinions. Was he kind of this big, sort of stiff? He has improved his footwork. He can run the floor. He does seem somewhat athletic. I don't know if when he gets to the next level in the pros, and we can talk about this, I don't think things are going to go great for him there. I think that's going to be put it this way. I went from watching Zach Edey yesterday to watching Wemby. And that feels very different. Wow. Very, very different. Zach Edey feels like the past and Wemby feels like the future. But I do want to give the guy his flowers today because I think he deserves it. He has changed my opinion about him by how they've played in this tournament so far.
Well, I mean, he was a 3-star recruit. If you ever see a picture of him in high school, dude had no idea how to play basketball. He was a hockey player up in Toronto. So he's one of those big guys who just learned the sport on the fly, in my opinion. Kind of like Joel Embiid at Kansas. So I don't think that's a mistake by those coaches. He really was not good. Watch a high school clip of him. He was awkward, clumsy, didn't have a feel for the game, and he's even improved at Purdue. But I disagree a little bit. I think coming into this tournament, he was probably a second-round pick, and now he has moved up tremendously. I think he goes top 15, where that was never even a thought with Zach Edey.
Okay, but here's the thing about Zach Edey, and we're talking about Purdue. I think it would be disappointing if they lose to NC State in the Final Four. Can't lose to another double-digit seed, even if NC State is on this miracle run. Perloff thinks mission accomplished for Purdue. They've already redeemed themselves for the loss to Fairleigh Dickinson last year. But let's just pivot on Edey for a second. He gets to the next level. Like, this is the one thing Purdue has done well with Edey. They made their whole team about Edey. You can't kind of half in with a guy who's 7'4". You either are running the team through him and running the offense through him, or you're not. Is an NBA team going to do that same thing? Like when he's on the floor, that the game runs through him? Because if it doesn't, I think he's going to be barbecue chicken out there. You're going to be able to pull him away from the basket and cook him on defense. And then offensively, he does not have an outside game. He has no perimeter game. And I'm not saying he couldn't find it, but he's attempted 2 3-pointers all season long. That's not part of who who he is as a basketball player.
Well, I do think that could develop because, again, he's learning the sport and he's a good free throw shooter, which generally tends to mean you're going to be a good NBA shooter. So I think there's a chance to grow there. What role do you think he has to play? If he depends on where he's drafted, he's going to be a backup. They're definitely not going to have to run through him. So I think he could be effective at first. He'll play 10 minutes a game at first, and then he eases into the role. Could you see him being give me a big guy, Valanciunas, or one of these guys?
Zubac of the Clippers,
yeah, or
like
the way Andrew Bogut was with the Warriors. I understand.
Bogut could shoot though.
Yeah, what could he?
Yeah, I
don't remember him shooting.
All right, maybe not.
I think sometimes some systems in the NBA, you just need a big guy in the middle. I got to be honest, he's been a revelation to me. I didn't think the only reason he's back-to-back Naismith Player of the Year is because he wasn't good enough to get drafted last year. He's really not thought of well in NBA circles. That's changing a lot. I don't know who the player comp is for him. I've heard obviously Yao Ming because of Chinese.
Size.
Yeah, but I don't know who it is right now. There's not an NBA player who reminds me a lot of him. He's not Rudy Gobert, who's this defensive force.
No.
And he's not Kristaps Porzingis, who can go outside. So who is he?
This is the thing, too, about Yao. Yao was playing in a very different NBA. It was not the three-point explosion. We had not had that yet because Yao was still facing off against Shaq. That feels like a different era of the NBA.
Yeah, no, and how would Shaq fit in today's NBA? It's a great point. It's a very, very different
Shaq
sport.
couldn't even hit free throws. That was Achilles' heel.
Yeah, Shaq would be awesome and dominate in a weird way. But you're right. It's not going to run through him. Like Purdue, every time down, where is Edey? Either he comes up high and then you just wait for him to go down and draw a foul. He is hard to cover right now, though. I will give you that. But if anyone can cover him, it's UConn, right?
I think UConn could. But first, let's get past NC State.
And I think NC State will do a better job because they have at least some presence in the middle. NC State's got to watch foul trouble, right? That's going to be the key to this game. It's on the officials. I think the officials, if they call everything on Edey, people are going to be like, oh, my God, they just want Purdue and UConn in the final. But I hope, I'm rooting for NC State. I'm not going to lie to you, like everybody. I just hope that my man DJ Burns doesn't get 4 in like 2 minutes. Because he's going to look like a midget compared to Zach Edey. He's 6'9". And I don't even know if he's 6'9", going against Zach Edey 7'4". It's going to be tough.
EJ, you think you have an NBA comp for Zach Edey?
Like I said, I think Jonas Valanciunas, I think Ivica Zubac, those are two bigs that kind of play in a similar style where you're talking about, Valanciunas will hit 3 every now and then, but those guys are essentially back to the basket bigs who are clogging the paint. And those are guys that you're not going to play 35 minutes a night, but could they start on a really good team? Yes, they can. I think Edey is an NBA player. I think his defensive issues get a little overblown because this idea that every team has a center that can just run around and chase guys off three-point line, like that is not happening. Every team pretty much has the same issue. There are a few teams, the Lakers, the Celtics, the Spurs. Those teams have some guys that are very mobile and very versatile, but most teams don't have a guy that big that can move like that.
I know, but you're talking about guys who are non-factors in the postseason. That's another problem. So if I'm drafting a guy and I'm not, if I'm trying and I want them to contribute, I'm hoping they're contributing on a playoff team. And I don't know if Zach Edey would get played off the floor in the playoffs. This is an interesting one from the chat. If you want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. You can watch us. We look great this morning, as we do every morning. In the chat, Daly says Brooke Lopez couldn't shoot threes at all in college and initially in the pros. Look at him now. Edey might be able to do that because he shoots free throws pretty well. Yeah. Does he have that second gear? Brooke Lopez was a good college player, too.
9 years before Brooke Lopez hit his first 3 in the NBA.
Before anyone asked him to hit a first
3.
No,
he hit. Honestly, the guy went 9 years without a single 3-point shot.
No, I know, but Brooke Lopez is also the all-time leading scorer in Brooklyn Nets history or whatever, because I don't think people were asking him to hit threes, right?
Not only, but isn't that amazing? The guy went 9 NBA seasons without hitting a 3 and then became one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA. So I was about to say the same person. He is huge, and he's not that big of a detriment defensively. That's the thing about Brooke Lopez. He's actually very effective. And Embiid, by the way, Joel Embiid, the Sixers, he's a great defensive player, and he's not great at the top of the key. So I do think rim protectors have a place. But I don't think Zach Edey starts at first. I think he goes to a team 12, 13, 14, and he can be in the bench. So I think Brooke Lopez is a great analogy because he got to learn how to play outside as the NBA changed. I think Edey's got decent form on his shot. It's not like he's a bricklayer. I think he'll be fine.
Let's put this on a poll too, EJ. I know we already have our poll up about NC State. Do you consider them a Cinderella? I say no. They're in the ACC. Perloff says yes. They're an 11 seed, and they haven't been to the Final Four since 1983. Can we get another poll up, please, which is Purdue. Is it mission accomplished that they got back to the Final Four, or would it still be a disappointment if they lost to NC State? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Our very own Andrew Kaplan is in the chat. Says Team Canada is going to be very good at the Olympics.
I've been waiting on Team Canada for so long, but they haven't done anything.
They were here last year. They got a silver medal in the World Cup.
So you got Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, Shaden Sharp, who's awesome.
You've got Jamal Murray from the Nuggets.
Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks.
R.J. Barrett.
Benedict Mathurin.
You have Andrew Wiggins, the original Maple Jordan.
Yes. Edey now. They have a very good team. Canada is going to be a major problem.
No, they're not, ironically. Because you just listen to those players. Look who the U.S. is going to bring out.
They just beat us last year.
Oh, my God. If the U.S. tries and beat it, anything between the Olympics, I don't even want to hear about. Oh, wait. Okay. I want to do a $1 million bet that the U.S. beats Canada in this year's 2024 Olympics.
I'm not. You just said that if the USA plays against Canada,
they're going to destroy them.
Okay.
You're going to have LeBron and Kevin Durant. You're getting all the older guys. Steph Curry still wants to play. Right. Draymond, rather.
We have Joel Embiid, which is a problem for everybody.
Yeah, Joel Embiid, multiple citizen.
Don't worry, he will not be on the court for this.
I was going to say, how could Joel Embiid play in the Olympics if you missed basically the entire season because of an injury? Can't do that.
A backcourt of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Jamal Murray is awesome.
Scary.
Yeah.
855-212-4CBS.
They're not even making the gold medal game. They are 4 years away.
They just made the gold medal game last year.
There was an Olympic last year?
Talking about the World Cup.
Yeah, who the hell cares?
They did. They went to the gold medal game, and they were missing guys too.
Oh, the World Cup. Oh, my God.
855-212-4CBS. Okay, so you're welcome to weigh in on Purdue. Is it mission accomplished that they just made it to the Final Four, or would it still be a disappointment if they lose to NC State? Listen, they're facing an 11 seed now in the Final Four. Can't lose to another double-digit seed, no matter what round it's in. Want to hear from you. Coming up, the true upset that happened over the weekend. Perloff had nothing to do with Duke. What was it? We'll tell you next.
Wow.
Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. So if you've been listening to the show the last couple of weeks, we've been doing a one-hit wonder bracket. Every year we do a non-basketball bracket. This year, one-hit wonders. It's taken over the Perloff car.
Really?
We drove to Boston this weekend. It was nothing but one-hit wonders. And it turns out they're super fun. They get stuck in your head. And my wife likes to listen to them, and then she yells at me because I walk around the house singing Who Let the Dogs Out. She's like, if you say that one more time. And I don't even know if they're still alive, but if we did a different bracket, what song gets stuck in your head the most? I think Who Let the Dog Out is a huge one seed.
Yeah, they're the UConn of this tournament. They're just slicing through the competition, winning by an average of 30. Here's
Baby Got Back, too. It's in my head 24/7.
Well, here's a question for you. So we're about to play one half of our Sweet 16 one-hit wonder bracket. Who's moving on to the Elite Eight? You get to vote now on Maggie and Perloff on Twitter. What about your daughters? So 13 and 12.
Yeah.
Do they like any of these ones from the 80s?
They will accept 80s music to some extent. They don't like our real music. Like the stuff that we want to play, they do not like at all. My one daughter's 13, puts on her headphones and watches TikTok for 4 hours at a stretch without even thinking twice about it.
Got it. Yeah, you got a teenager back there.
The other one is okay with 80s for a little while. So we played 2010s yesterday in the car. And there's a lot of one-hit wonders that I think we did not put into the bracket because we're still waiting for those people to have their second hit.
Yes, exactly.
So
the career's not over for Lord. Whatever.
Yeah, Lord Royals came on. And I'm like, oh my God, this is totally a one-hit wonder. Lord's probably has a second hit, but we're not going to remember any other song.
But she's still got time.
How old do you think she is?
30.
I just don't see it happening.
You're calling your shot on Lord's career.
Lord is 27.
Oh boy.
I mean,
still in her prime.
I mean, would you ever thought Nina, who sang 99 Left Balloons, would only have one hit with a song that good that's in German and English?
All right, well, speaking of that, let's get to our bracket. So this is one half of the Sweet 16. This is the weddings and the last call region we're going to bring you. Let's start with weddings, where an all-time upset is occurring. The 16 seed is through to the Sweet 16. That is Tainted Love. In a heavyweight bout, goes up against the 5th seed, Jump Around.
Get down, so get out your seat and jump around, jump around, jump around, jump around, jump up and get down. Jump, 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 everybody jump, jump.
The Maggie and Perloff bracket of one-hit wonders. We are down to the Sweet 16 in the Weddings region. 3rd seed, Whoop, There It Is, advances. They take on the 15th seed in this region, Pump Up the Jam. I'll give you $100 if you know who made that song. We've
something
been doing it for weeks.
No. It's something. It sounds like CNC Music Factory had a producing hand, and I don't know.
Technotronic.
Okay.
All right, we go to our...
say Elton John.
Yes, just a little off. We go to the last call region, the Maggie and Perloff bracket of one-hit wonders, where the number 1 seed is still alive in this region. It's Baby Got Back.
Like big butts, and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny. Now when a girl walks in with an itty-bitty waist and a round thing in your face, you get sprung. Wanna pull up tough?
All right, they go up against the 5th seed in this region, 99 Luft Balloons. Okay, and finally, in the last call region, the Maggie and Perloff bracket of one-hit wonders, we're in the Sweet 16, 11 seed, Closing Time. Moves on.
I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home.
And they go up against the 10 seed, a song that we have all rediscovered through this March Madness bracket, 8675309. There you go. So you can go to @Maggie and Pearl. This is one half of the Sweet 16. Who's moving on to the Elite 8? It's up to you.
I remember back in the day, there was a story. Whoever had that number, 8675309, got barraged by calls. So after that, whatever you see in a movie, a phone number, it's 555.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jenny, 8675309, I think, killed putting numbers into songs or movies. Because if you remember, back before cell phones, you had a home phone.
Yeah, right.
So everyone kept calling and asking for Jenny. And they're like,
the only thing is there's no area code.
Well, any area code.
I guess any area code. Oh, boy.
I'll tell you what, Closing Time, you talk about songs that got in your head since doing this. Closing Time's been the one for me.
Oh, really?
That's the one. I don't know why. Maybe because that's one I actually almost never hear. Like, I didn't hear a lot before, but now I cannot get it out of my head. Cannot.
I feel like, it's 2 o'clock, last call. Every bar puts on Closing Time right before the end. At least in the aughts, that was a thing.
DJ's not much of a drinker, so I don't know if he was really getting to a lot of last calls.
The other thing I was thinking, too, though, was like, I don't know, maybe this is like maybe old man thinking here, but isn't the man who normally would bring the woman home? It's kind of weird. He's like, I want someone to take, like, I don't know. I keep flipping it in my head. I'm like,
Semisonic, ahead of their time.
Also, This was a time when you actually had to go to a bar and pick up women and you didn't have dating apps. So it's a completely different ball game. And believe me, I made some bad Closing Time decisions in my life.
Were you Josh Allen over there?
Oh, man. 13 seconds.
Yeah. Wait, what? I lasted a lot longer than 13 seconds here, but...
Oh, you were there.
That's not
what does Maggie mean? I don't understand.
I don't know.
I was thinking of a bad bullpen decision. Closing Time.
You're the Grady Little.
I'm the Grady Little.
Yeah. And that's that. So, yeah, Josh Allen, not a great closer. Perloff apparently also not.
Josh Allen had nothing to do with it. That was on the defense.
No, that's true. Josh Allen throwing picks in the end zone against the Chiefs this season.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. He had to make a play. Why did Josh Allen take a stray here? If anything, Grady Little is the guy to go down.
First quarterback that came to mind, I thought closing time. I should have said Dak, to be honest, but I don't know why Josh. I see the Bills jersey up there.
No, it's Josh. It's right.
Josh Allen? Oh, no, that's totally wrong.
You don't think Josh Allen has a reputation now of not coming through in contract? No, the 13 seconds game is not his fault. But this past year in the divisional round against the Chiefs, that people are putting that on Josh.
A little bit, but still, I mean, Dak could say, hold my beer. I mean, at least Josh is winning some games. Right, or who's the other? There's a couple big playoff losers.
Romo.
Lamar Jackson.
Till this year, Lamar
was terrible in the AFC Championship game. I guess we have a couple different nominees. So anyway, you can go to @Maggie and Pearl. You can go vote on our bracket of one-hit wonders. The first half of the Sweet 16 is set, so go @Maggie and Pearl on Twitter. Dexter Henry is here with headlines. Good morning, Dex.
Good morning, guys. We're going to lead this one off with baseball. Juan Soto, he's off to a pretty good start in New York. In H-Town, the outfielder recorded 3 hits, capped by an RBI single with 2 outs in the 9th inning. That lifted the Yankees to a 4-3 win on Sunday that completed a season-opening 4-game sweep of the Astros. The Yanks' big offseason acquisition, well, he loves the start to the season by the Bronx Bombers.
I don't know if we're sending a message, but definitely we're playing hard every day, and we're playing all the 27 outs, and that's what we've been doing this series, and that's what we did, and more than excited to keep going.
I don't know about you guys, but have you talked to Yankees fans?
I was about to say, do we have to worry about traffic with the parade that's going to happen? Because Yankees fans are acting like they won the World Series. It's already happening.
Yes.
I mean, in reality, they could win 109 games and have a 50% chance of getting out of the first round. So I'm not buying this Yankees hype, and it makes me sick, to be honest.
Okay, but guys, you're looking at the Yankees like, ruh-roh. They might be real. They are going to be really good. And Garrett Cole isn't even there right now, and he's going to be coming back from injury.
Did they win 103 games a few years ago and just get bounced?
No, Aaron Boone has been the manager of a team that's won more than 100 games, I think, 3 different seasons.
Yeah, so don't do this Juan Soto thing. Just don't fall for it, America.
I don't know. And Houston has always been a place with mixed results for them. Obviously, the Astros are like the number 1 rival for the Yankees right now. It's not even Boston. But,
yeah.
Letting the Yankees get Juan Soto in a contract year might have not been an awesome thing for everyone else in the American League. Just saying.
All right, we'll see.
Hey, they're undefeated. They're one of 3 undefeated teams right now.
And they had to come back from 2 of them, right? They came back from.
They came back in every game, actually.
Oh, was it every game?
Yeah, came back.
That's going to actually make it more fun to watch them go down in the playoffs because this is a sport. I mean, listen. Watch the Dodgers win 110 games every year.
Dodgers also came back.
Doesn't mean anything. I mean, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't buy the Juan Soto hype. He is awesome at it.
But unless Juan Soto, who does not use an interpreter, someone close to him gets wrapped up in a gambling scandal, I think we're going to have different storylines coming out of the Dodgers versus the Yankees.
Well, yeah, except they're both going to win 100-something games and flame out in the playoffs. What? That's true.
You are not buying the stock. Okay.
Listen, we had the Rangers and the Diamondbacks in the World Series last year.
True.
Tell me there's any rhyme or reason to how this works.
Yeah, fair. What else we got, Dex?
Fair. All right, here's what we got. Guys know this has been a lot of questions surrounding what Bill Belichick will do after nearly a quarter century as the Patriots head coach. Well, according to The Athletic, Belichick is planning on writing a book. Now, the nature of the book is not yet fully known. Belichick and the Patriots dynasty, we saw they've been showcased in a couple of books, and Apple TV just recently released a documentary on the Pats. So my question is, are you guys interested in a book from Bill Belichick? And if you are, what would you like to see him write about?
Yeah, I mean, Belichick comes off looking so bad in the latest Dynasty documentary. I mean, his body language is awful. He's not answering questions,
Yeah, I mean, some of his players stepped up and said some nice things about him. So he had a little bit of a rebound after the documentary because most people didn't watch the documentary, but they did hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, that was unfair." Belichick is the one who started Brady over Bledsoe. So in a funny way, he had a little bounce off that to me. But that book is going to be so boring. Do you expect anything in it?
I would read a book by him if it talked about everything but the Patriots.
This is Bilotti. This is your lane. You want a LeBron James and JJ Redick podcast where they don't talk about basketball.
That's right.
And now you want a Bill Belichick book where he does not talk about the Patriots. So you just want the Giants, the Browns, and the Jets?
Well, I think what happened with the Browns is more compelling than him winning all the time.
Interesting.
But we kind of know what happened with the Browns. There's a lot of writing on that.
But I think now a first-hand account from him talking about everything, he has no ties to it, is a good thing.
I did think the two Giants documentary, the 30 for 30, was pretty good with him and Bill Parcells. Yeah, two Bills. Sorry. I would learn more about the Giants. I kind of agree with Pete. The Pat stuff, I don't care about.
You're telling me if Bill Belichick writes a book about the Browns and the Giants, that people are not going to be disappointed? He had the most controversial 20-year run as a head coach. The 1993 Browns. So you really want to go? Oh. Bill Belichick's going on a book tour to talk about the Bernie Kosar decision. Are you guys crazy?
Well, my thing though is do you really think he's going to say anything of value about the Pats? I don't think he will.
Okay, so that's the question. What do we want him? What do we want to answer? I want him answered. I want to TikTok everything about Spygate. I want how much it helped them. I want the information they got. And I also want an acknowledgement from Belichick that they continued to spy on teams.
Yeah, and
they continued.
I wanted to win that $1 billion lottery. What the heck are you talking about?
Don't you want to know about Malcolm Butler getting benched?
Of course I do. And I could guarantee the one place I will not find that out is Bill Belichick's book. Are you out of your mind? You think he's going to talk about these things?
Thus, I want to hear about everything else other than the Patriots because he's not going to say anything.
If he tries to say, I did write a book and I said some interesting things about the Browns, how the owner mistreated Scott Pioli in 1991, what are we doing here?
Fine with me.
He's got to tell us about Malcolm Butler. He's got to tell us about Spygate. And he's not going to tell. He's not going to.
I want to hear regrets about Aaron Hernandez and how he handled it when Aaron Hernandez went to the combine and asked for a trade to get away from people who were in his life, at least geographically separate himself, and Belichick said no. I want all the stuff.
Of course you want that. You're not going to get it.
I mean,
do you want details of his divorce and then his recent breakup? Do you want to hear a medical record of what time he had a toe fungus? You're not getting everything. You're not getting anything out of this book.
Maybe. Gladi maybe wants the toe fungus. So what am I getting? I'm getting a bunch of diagrams about.
That's a good question. What are we getting with the Bill Belichick?
You're getting the most boring book that you will ever read in your life.
Anything about Brady? We get nothing about Brady. That's insane. The two are tied together from now to the end of time.
Have you guys? Are we talking about the same coach, Bill Belichick, or are you guys talking about somebody, Pete Carroll here? I don't know what you think is going to be in this book. The dude hasn't said a thing about Malcolm Butler in 7 years. All of a sudden, he's going to write a book and put
now's
in there?
the
Nothing.
time to do it. I mean, we've seen other coaches who have written books and said controversial things. Phil Jackson wrote some controversial things in his book.
Phil Jackson couldn't shut up his entire career. Phil Jackson would tell you every thought that crossed through his mind. Bill Belichick's the opposite.
Well, he couldn't shop in New York.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
falling asleep during games. It's nap time.
Yeah, I mean, generally,
from Wyoming. You mean that?
I don't think coaches are the tell-all types. I'm trying to think of coaches, but I remember Mike Leach's book. There's no more interesting person than Mike Leach. His book was so boring. Generally, and Bill Belichick will make it about NFL history is his obsession, right? It'll probably be about Paul Brown. That is what the book's going to be about.
Well, I mean, listen, there's a way to do that well, but I think that's not what people are going to go there for.
How about, well, I know.
I mean, our friend wrote a book about Saban, Monty.
Yeah, about Saban, unauthorized biography, and Saban's still mad at him.
You know, I want to hear from Belichick. If he's going to talk about the Patriots, he needs to make his case about why he is just as valuable, if not more valuable, than Tom Brady. Because Tom Brady's running around like he's Pac. He's talking about all the stuff he did as a quarterback. Yeah. Everybody's giving him his flowers because he won that Super Bowl without Belichick. He went to the playoffs with the Bucs without Belichick, and Belichick's career basically withered away in New England after Brady left. He's going to make a book right about, hey, this is what I did for Tom Brady. This is how Tom Brady became a better player because I was here. Like, he needs to get in his bag and say, okay, if Tom's going to run around and talk about the things he did and why he was the guy and why, he had to leave in order to show that he can win it without me, let me talk about what I did.
Yeah, and then we're talking about Belichick now is reportedly writing a book, so what do we want to see in it? I think Belichick would say, I made the most unpopular decision at the time, very controversial, to continue to sit the number 1 overall pick and a $100 million quarterback in Drew Bledsoe for the 199th pick in the draft in a year they went to the Super Bowl and won it. Brady owes his entire career to me.
I got a title for you guys. This is what it's going to be. The book's going to be called On to Cincinnati. And it's going to be anyone who wants to ask me about all that stuff, forget it. You're going to get a 300-page tome about the wing tee in 1953. There is no way any of this stuff you guys are talking about is happening.
Honestly, On to Cincinnati would not be a terrible...
Right.
You are the writer around here.
I got to tell you, they were 2-2 at that time, and the whole season was falling apart. They're like, tell us about this controversial thing. He's like, nope. And he is not going to speak. We have to find out who's writing this book. I thought Ian O'Connor might be the logical choice. That was
in Boston?
Yeah, I know he has
more of an NBA guy, but sure. Oh no, I'm sorry, I was thinking of Ian Thompson. Yeah, Ian O'Connor's already written a book about Belichick.
Right, and they have a good relationship, I thought. Or nah, I mean, also obviously a guy Seth Wickersham could write a book.
I don't.
I
think
know he's the guy.
Happen.
Yeah, I'm trying. Belichick has some friends in the media. He's really good friends with Glenn Ordway, former radio host. He's not writing a book, but I think it's gonna be boring.
Stephen King should write it.
Oh, maybe Michael Holley, who's written a lot of Patriots books. I'm trying to think of. It's going to be a Boston writer.
Think if he could get Stephen King.
Ooh.
Big Boston fan. Pete, you might be onto something.
There you go.
Sitting at Red Sox games in the front row reading.
Is there going to be some kind of weird murder in the opening chapter?
Well, there was. Moving on to what he's going to really do, and he's going to write a fiction book.
Maybe he'll do a young adult novel. They sell really well, like a Hunger Games type thing.
Or a kid's book.
Or a romance novel.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Bill Belichick writing smut. All of a sudden, he's doing 50 Shades of Grey again. He's picking up where
I like
whatever
that.
face is
That'd be
left
good.
off.
That'd be good.
All of a sudden, he's talking about Anastasia and whatever.
Yes. It's weird
I
that
don't remember
the
name.
protagonist of Bill Belichick's book will be a 12-year-old archer who, in a dystopian society, that's where the sales are these days.
Which, by the way, for the books that are like those kind of smut, like the romance.
50 Shades of Grey. Yeah,
50 Shades of Grey. Since we're here in New York City, you take public transportation a lot. I always really question the people who would just read that on the subway.
Yo, I totally judge them. I'm
Like,
not even
what
gonna
are you
lie. I just
doing?
look at
Get a
them
Kindle.
like, yeah. It's
But
just
50 Shades of Grey became acceptable as a thing for some reason.
Have you ever read some of the passages in 50 Shades of Grey? It is very risque.
Yeah, but I feel like it became mainstream.
It definitely did, but 50 Shades of Grey is not romance. Like, that's something, I don't know what I would call it, but romance novels are like, I don't know, like Bridgerton.
Is that a novel?
I don't
before
know.
a show?
It's a book.
I think
Oh,
it's,
okay.
I think it's
girlfriend
the
read all
same
of them.
genre, but I used to look at the people, men and women, reading 50 Shades of Grey. It's like, would you like some time by yourself? This is a weird thing to be reading at 6:30 in the morning
The
on the A
interesting thing is
train.
watching their faces as they're reading it. You almost start wondering, what are you reading right there that has your face looking like that?
Which
Yeah, but
scene? Is
50
this
Shades
the
of-
bondage room or is this something else?
Yeah, to me, though, that's a different genre. Because a lot of people aren't into that. Like that, for me,
That's like erotica.
Yeah, but not like good
That's
erotica.
fair.
That's like S&M stuff.
But think about it. If
I
you're
like,
erotica, if someone was
yeah.
reading erotica next to you on public transportation, a bus, a train,
Oh, it's
wouldn't you
weird.
get up and move?
It's weird. It's definitely weird.
It's weird.
Probably
Thank
more
you.
common than we think, though.
Yeah.
Around here.
I would agree with that. It
Again,
is probably more common.
Get a Kindle.
Get a room. Forget it.
Yikes.
Just take the Uber to wherever you're going.
Yes,
How about
exactly.
that?
Maybe read this one on the back of an Uber.
Take a
Read in
walk.
peace. All right, we've inspired Bill Belichick's next book, so we'll see how that all goes. NBA news: Mavs, they stayed red hot by cooling off a team even hotter than they were. Luka Doncic, who was balling in Houston, scored 47 points, grabbed 12 boards, dished out 7 dimes. Mavericks, they won their 7th straight game, snapped the Rockets' 11-game winning streak. 125-107 is the victory. Mavs looking good. Doncic in that MVP race. Should be interesting.
Dexter, thank you so much. Appreciate all of that. Coming up, could there be a reunion in Dallas, Texas? Get to that. We see you guys on the phones as well. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
got him one. Brand new. Not even out yet. He's a friend of mine, you know it.
It's not easy to kill a tortoise. That's the other problem.
She'll figure
Trust
it
me,
out.
I fantasize a lot about this. How are you going to kill it? You have to drown it, right?
Oh my
Drown
God.
a tortoise? Isn't it under?
It's
Doesn't it breathe underwater?
amphibious. Google, how do I kill a
So
tortoise?
I was thinking, I live on the 8th floor. If I dropped him out the window, would the shell crack and he'd die? Because I can't.
What is wrong
that
with your
sounds
family?
inhumane. Don't
Because
do
the
that.
worst torture would be to put him out on the streets.
Wasn't something that he said. All the voices in your head calling Gloria, Gloria. Don't you think you're falling? Wasn't something that he said.
This is Andrew Perloff with an Odyssey Sports
All
Minute.
the voices in your
This is Andrew
head calling Gloria, Gloria.
This out.
Loaded question.
How do I get over it?
The soccer shin guards and the cleats. Honestly, who knew that Perloff not only owned the short shorts?
Where is HR? Do we have HR?
You stole my heart, you intercepted it. Now you're gone, have to accept it.
Let's go there. Let's make our escape. Come on, let's go there. Let's just can we stay? Can you take me higher to a place where line and sea? Can you take me higher to a place where golden streams? So let's go there. Let's make our escape. Come on, let's go there.
But I wish he would and own up to a few things too. Sean, what do you think about Belichick's book? Good morning, sir.
I'm thinking it's going to be all about smut. I'm going to think this is a jaded employee that just quit working for Bob Kraft, and you can't say Bob Kraft and the Patriots and massage parlors without smut. This is going to be the worst. This is the nastiest team ever. I mean, Bob Kraft should be a real nervous person right now, and I'm sure Belichick's just smiling like a Cheshire cat.
Interesting, Sean. Thank you for the call. You think that he's going to take aim at Robert Kraft? I don't know if you'd mentioned the massage parlors. That's probably a bridge too far. But, you know, I wonder if Belichick cares about his relationship with the Krafts moving forward. He knows he'll always be a legend, but in terms of like getting invited back to Foxborough and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and also, too, I don't think Bill Belichick has been a saint throughout his life either. Not that he got arrested or anything like that, but I'm sure he probably has skeletons somewhere, too. I would imagine. Is that wrong to say?
Spygate.
Well, also,
Stealing
too.
signs.
No. I just off football. I mean, listen, he's a football coach. He probably lived an interesting lifestyle. I'm saying, and I know he's had marital problems and stuff
Sure.
I don't think he's going to go personal. That's my point.
I don't think he would sling mud, but maybe he does feel, like Sean said, an aggrieved former employee. I mean, he might.
Yeah.
I don't think he wanted to leave the Patriots. Well, here was the reporting that if he knew that he was going to get passed over in this hiring cycle, which I'll admit was a shock, Bill Belichick would not have gone so quietly from the Patriots because he and Kraft sat up there, at the end doing the press conference together and everything was all love.
Yeah, I just don't think he's going to accuse other men of cheating or doing stuff like that because then that opens up a closet that he might not want to go to. Or
totally.
But also, too, he doesn't seem like the guy to do that to me. Like, get really, really
Spill,
personal. Like Robert Kraft's personal life? No.
Probably not. Big Friendly's in California. Hey, Big Friendly, good morning.
Good morning, Maggie Malone, Perloff the Professor, Mr. Dexter, EJ the EP, Bilotti Gotti. Today is Big Friendly's birthday.
Hey.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question and you give me a down home New York, forget about it? Can I get one of those? Can I ask you a question real quick?
Well, you got to hear the question first. Yeah.
Bilotti, what do you think Purdue's chances are to get to the championship?
50-50.
Wait, that's not what he wanted. He wanted
It's a forget about it. Can we do
forget
it
about
again?
Okay.
It don't matter, Bilotti. You made my birthday. Thank you so much, my man.
That's what you wanted a New York forget about it?
Bilotti, are the Mets going to win it all this year?
You can forget about that. Or next year or the year after.
I was going to ask that question, but I was afraid Bilotti may show up to my door. I was just gonna bring that
The
up.
trench coat. Does anyone here have a good forget about it?
Forget about it.
No, Pete's is the best.
Forget about it. See, now it just sounds like we're doing characters now.
Right. Bilotti grew up saying forget about it.
Forget about it.
There it is, Bilotti. There it is.
EJ, I'm surprised by yours. Let me hear it again.
Forget about it.
Still feels like you're acting.
Yeah.
You gotta draw it
my
out.
New York accent comes in different words. Doesn't come in forget about it.
Yeah.
Like
You
the way I
gotta
say
draw it
tournament in water.
Maggie, you sounded like Luigi. What was yours? Hey, forget about it.
No, that's a stereotype. Yeah.
To me.
It's gotta be.
Wario.
It's gotta be. Forget about it.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right. So let's get into this like Easter dinner.
Okay.
So earlier when I was getting ready for work, you guys were talking about LeBron being the GOAT. Now, I don't want to take away any of his accomplishments and achievements, but I cannot call him the GOAT when he takes games off. Michael and Kobe never took games off, never load management. LeBron flops. I never see Michael or Kobe flop. If LeBron's on the offensive end and something doesn't go his way, he will not run back on defense. How do you call that great when Kobe and Michael, they would at least run back on defense, hard foul, and go talk to the ref?
So you think it's a hustle thing. So just to catch the rest of the audience up, Big Friendly, and again, happy birthday, man. Thanks so much for calling in. You're the best. I guess we had a little bit of LeBron GOAT conversation. The news is LeBron dropped 40 last night, and we were talking about the most games of scoring 40 points after 40 years old. Is that what we were talking about? Right. And the fact that Michael had 3 and LeBron has had 2 now. And does this play into the legacy of all these big scoring nights after the age of 40?
Right. I don't totally agree, by the way. I don't remember Jordan, but Kobe never flopped. Kobe was a big soccer fan. I assumed he would have flopped as well.
I think Kobe,
he probably sold a few
sell
fouls.
a couple calls.
Jordan didn't need to flop because he got every call anyway. Which
you know, the flop
and he
against the
deserved them.
Knicks. I mean, they were clotheslining him, so it wasn't much
Back
flop
then,
needed.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't need to flop in the 90s. You were basically wrestled every single time down the court. There is something about LeBron and acting with the refs. That's definitely a little nick in his legacy, but I don't mind that.
I feel like the hustle is not what, I don't ding LeBron for that.
Well, I mean, the relentlessness Kobe had, I don't think LeBron matches Kobe in relentlessness. That's Kobe's thing. I mean, obviously LeBron was more talented, but Kobe was a killer from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. I don't think LeBron is viewed the same way.
I mean, I swear, LeBron, you pass the ball a couple times, making the right basketball play at the end of a game, and you forever get labeled as not being a killer or a closer.
Yeah, but
it's crazy to me.
You're comparing him to Kobe Bryant.
No, I know.
Kobe Bryant he was all killer mentality. That's a high bar.
I think that for as much as, LeBron gets a lot of praise, I think he gets undue criticism for being like this soft player. That is just not true. There's been times when LeBron has settled for threes. There's been times when LeBron has passed, but a lot of those passes were actually the right basketball play.
Oh, get out of here. The right basketball play. Early in his career, he needed to take those threes at the end of the game, and he did not.
Coming up, the rematch that's been a year in the making. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. Dobo.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Okay.
Wasn't something that he said. All the voices in your head calling Gloria, Gloria. Don't you think you're falling? Was wasn't something that he said.
Why can't babies just be babies? 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 Why can't babies just be babies?
What's in the fucking box? What's in the...
2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
We get a rematch a year in the making. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We take a pause from the men's side of March Madness, Perloff, to talk about what we're going to see tonight. Caitlin Clark in Iowa against Angel Reese and LSU. We've all been circling this one on our calendars, and we get it in the Elite Eight.
It's like the NFL scriptwriters jumped over to women's college basketball and gave us this incredible matchup in the Elite Eight. It kind of feels like a Final Four game, even though it is Elite Eight, and also because both teams are outstanding.
It's going to be something. And listen, it's funny to me because we had so much controversy a year ago around this championship game. Now, if you'll remember, LSU won this game going away. 102-85 was the final score. But what people remember is the trash talk that happened between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, the, situation after the game last year where the the first lady kind of put a foot in her mouth saying that both teams should be invited, to the White House. That didn't go over well.
No.
We talked about this for weeks on end. But what the good thing that came of it was that we have this all-time great rivalry now in women's college hoops. And we know this, whether it's any sport, men's, women's, the rivalry is the thing. I mean, a lot of ways, this is how all-time greats are defined by how they did against their best competition.
Right.
So with that in mind, Caitlin Clark has all the pressure in the world on her tonight, as if she couldn't have more pressure, to try to avenge that loss from a year ago.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't think you're ever going to see an Iowa LSU rivalry again. They obviously,
right.
One's in the Big Ten, one's in the SEC. Iowa was nowhere before Caitlin Clark came and might be nowhere after. The entire team is seniors. They're all gone. So it is a 2-year rivalry. It's not Duke, North Carolina.
But this could continue to the WNBA.
Oh, so you're going to say
now.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
That you could see Angel versus, but I don't see that happening because they won't match up directly, and who knows? A lot had to happen to make this happen. By the way, trash talk between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Did Caitlin Clark ever trash talk Angel Reese? I don't believe.
So Caitlin had talked trash the round before. Remember, because she did the "You Can't See Me," the John Cena.
Right. Oh, okay.
And then Angel did it to Caitlin.
Right. So,
and then showed her the ring finger as time was expiring, kind of pointing to like, hey, we just won the title.
But Caitlin certainly never trash talked Angel Reese.
I don't think in that game, I mean, listen, I think they're fierce competitors, but also LSU was dominating. So what kind of trash are you going to be talking?
No, I mean, I think,
butt kicked?
But it's funny that now that I think back to it, LSU, Angel Reese was mad because they had trash talked South Carolina.
Yeah.
I guess some SEC kinship. But regardless, the funny thing about this rivalry is that there's South Carolina waiting for them, but they're probably going to lose moving down anyway. So it feels like you're going to have 2 championship games in this women's field. You're going to have this game. I mean, it's not really a champion. You're going to have two major games, gigantic TV ratings. This one, and I think whoever advances going eventually, assuming South Carolina faces them, that'll be a huge rating too. So it's almost a double dip for women's college basketball. Both games enormous.
Let's hear a little from Caitlin Clark. Pete, can we hear cut 6 saying the Iowa-LSU matchup is a good thing for women's hoops?
Absolutely. It's so good for women's basketball. And to be honest, I've watched a lot of LSU games, and what they're doing for women's basketball and the way their fans support is tremendous. And it's been fun to watch, and they've had a great season. So I know it's going to be a great game, and both teams are going to be ready to go. And it's just going to be great for our game. And, we couldn't be more excited.
And Caitlin Clark also on the similarities between her and Angel Reese.
There's definitely that competitive fire. Both of us want to win more than anything, and that's how it should be when you're a competitor and you get into a situation like this, whether it was the national championship, whether it's Elite Eight.
Okay, so it's funny because these two women keep having to clarify their relationship, because they have this on the court, very intense rivalry. And yet off the court, it's like they almost have to convince everybody, hey, we don't actually hate each other. We just are fierce competitors. Let's hear from Angel Reese, P. Cut 3. Says she doesn't hate Caitlin Clark, and she doesn't realize why she has to keep saying that.
Me and Caitlin Clark don't hate each other. I want everybody to understand that it's just a super competitive game. And, I would just wish people realize that, once I get between those lines, it's no friends.
Yeah, it's funny, Perloff, because I think we have no problem with this when it's guys.
Right.
This is one of these things where it's almost like we're all having a good time here talking about this rivalry. We're all enjoying this rivalry and enjoying the women's tournament. why can't they just be competitors? Why do they keep having to tell the public, hey, we're actually friends here? Why can't we just go on believing they don't like each other? What's the harm in that?
Well, they're saying they do like each other.
Right. I'm just saying, why do they have to clarify it? Like Magic and Larry, did they have to keep clarifying their relationship and what it was really like off the court?
Yes. That was like the biggest story in sports, how they didn't like each other.
Well, but how? Because one, they felt was someone was treated differently than the other, right? There's a great documentary on this. They just couldn't. Yeah, Magic didn't like the attention that Bird got. Right. Bird did not like the attention that Magic got. Bird did not like seeing Magic win more. So that rivalry, that was, what's the analogy where we're okay, but we did enjoy it with Magic and Bird. I see what you're saying. But I think we're enjoying it with Angel and Caitlin Clark. These are two outstanding players. Yes, there's more to it, but I'm not sure what the problem is that we focus on this rivalry. I think it's a good thing. Right. I think it's a good thing, too. I guess I don't understand why they have to go out of their way to acknowledge that off the court they don't have beef. What does it matter? We're all in this just for the basketball and the rivalry. Why can't it just sort of stay at that? It's almost like because it's women sometimes, it's like, well, they can't really be, in a fight or something like that, or we want something a little more juicy off the court. When it can just be about sports, it can just be basketball. Why can't it just be that?
I understand what you're saying, and that's a good point, but I do think that we kind of like both players. Certainly Caitlin Clark is incredibly popular. Sure. And Angel Reese, I think, is pretty popular too. She's really fun as well. I think a lot of America, at first she was sort of viewed as the bad guy because of the John Cena. Oh, that's so not a gracious way to win. But then she's done a lot of interviews and people realize, oh, wow, she's super fun as well. So I think people want them to get along, I can like
see
the two likable
right.
players. Give me an analogy of a men's rivalry. It's hard in basketball, especially college basketball recently, because it hasn't been really designed that way. But where's the men's rivalry where
It's Tatum and Booker. I think everyone keeps asking.
Jason Tatum and Devin Booker?
Isn't it Tatum?
No, sorry, Booker and Luka.
Oh, sorry, Booker and Luka. That's the rivalry.
Those guys talk trash all the time.
Yeah, but I mean,
But no one's asking them, like, hey, do you guys actually hang out, off the court, or do you have beef with each other off the court?
Because
nobody cares.
They're not the 1 and 2 stars in the sport.
Well, I could argue LeBron and Steph. Do we continue to ask those guys, oh, you guys friends? Are you guys friends? Well, remind us again that you're friends.
But people seem to love the fact that LeBron has this love affair with Steph and keeps saying, I love that is a thing. People are really thrilled that LeBron has basically said, hey, come here, little buddy. He's embraced Steph so much. I understand what you're saying. They don't ask all the time, but that's become a big thing, how much LeBron likes Steph, and people enjoy that, right?
So the other part of this, too, is just who's feeling the pressure in this game. And I think that Caitlin Clark, again, has all the pressure in the world on her tonight because you want to avenge that loss from last year. I was a slight favorite in this game, 1.5 points, basically, I pick them. But they are a number 1 seed in this tournament where LSU is a 3 seed. And, I think that you and I think, have disagreed about this, about how far does Caitlin Clark need to go in this tournament to sort of cement, not that her legacy is in doubt, but sort of giving this sort of catapult here to women's hoops. Angel Reese has got her title.
She's set.
She's won it. She's already got her title. I think for Caitlin, this is massive. And another, especially if it looks like 102-85, like it did last year in the championship game, another really bad blowout loss. I think it does ding Caitlin's resume just a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think if she does lose again, everyone's going to realize, oh, she had worse players around her. I think that'll be the narrative because she kind of does. Mm-hmm. I mean, those Iowa players have stepped up, but I think if you gave Caitlin Clark to LSU and you gave Angel Reese to Iowa, I think the argument would be that Caitlin Clark would be the favorite at LSU. We know that Caitlin Clark's been sort of a one-person team. She really is. She's the all-time leading scorer for a reason. Yeah. She's had that green light since she got to Iowa.
No doubt.
And you rightfully pointed out, if she was a UConn, she wouldn't shoot this much. So I think at the end of the day, her legacy is fine because people don't think Iowa's a great team. They think she's great. And making another good run is enough for me. I don't think she needs to get all the way.
So there's a question here about the pressure on Caitlin Clark in this game. Again, this is the rematch, LSU and Iowa. It happens tonight in the Elite Eight. This was the national championship game a year ago, and it was a lot of eyeballs. And one other thought about this game, where LSU has kind of taken on the sort of personality of their coach, Kim Mulkey.
Sure.
Who can be a bit prickly, who can be a little, she's not a warm and fuzzy type of basketball coach. And a lot of the great ones aren't. And there's been some controversy around Kim Mulkey, and the LSU team sort of gets painted as sort of the villain. I think Angel Reese called them the good villains, right? And I don't think it's unfair, Perloff, or I don't think it's wrong to say a team can be a villain in college basketball. We did a whole thing about the biggest villain in college hoops, and we all picked a player from Duke. But the thing is about when we were talking about that is we kept it basketball. We kept it about what was going on the court. And this LA Times article that came out over the weekend that got a lot of attention because the writer compared the LSU team, that called them dirty debutantes, where they called the UCLA team milk and cookies. Sexist on both sides, calling UCLA milk and cookies and calling LSU the dirty debutantes. I think people are starting to, really embrace this LSU team a lot more because this type of backlash, to get personal like that, like this LA Times person did. And listen, that writer doesn't define the sport. Their word isn't the only word being written about college hoops, but I know it was hurtful to the players on the team. I think LSU has become a lot more embraced. I don't say likable because I think they were already that, but I think they've kind of been embraced and they are no longer wearing that black hat in the way that they may have been before.
Well, it's funny because a week ago, Kim Mulkey was railing on the Washington Post for this upcoming profile. I think there was a little bit of black hat in that. I think I'm like, oh, she
then
must
the
have.
profile came out and there's nothing in it.
First of all, everyone thought, oh my God, there must be something so egregious in here. So everyone thought, oh, Kim Mulkey's been cheating or something or doing
a bombshell, right?
Yeah,
there's nothing like that. It was just a profile of her life.
A week ago, LSU's sort of image was down because they thought this profile was coming out, and then the profile was harmless, so that helped LSU.
Right.
And then this LA Times story, which was ridiculous, I think helped her as well. That being said, you say that, but if they knock Caitlin Clark out of this tournament, I think that people are not going to be thrilled about that. So I think people generally are rooting for Iowa here because LSU's already got a championship. We don't need to see them advance. I think that we need to see Caitlin Clark against South Carolina
and see how far this goes.
As a neutral fan, do you think that's fair to say that Iowa is more compelling right now? And I think that'll be the problem with LSU. Everyone's kind of rooting for Iowa to advance.
Listen, I think if you take the 30,000-foot view, and again, we're talking about Iowa LSU rematch tonight of the national championship game a year ago. It's the Elite Eight. It's Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark's been the story in women's college basketball all year long. Hell, she's been the story in college basketball all year long, men's side or women's side. So to say all of a sudden that changes in the Elite Eight, I agree with you. No, I still think this is Caitlin's moment. But I do think LSU has brought a lot more people onto their side because the characterization of their team, even if you don't love Kim Mulkey and even if you don't love Angel Reese, the characterization went so far on the other side, right, of calling them dirty debutantes. I mean, come on. It's a reference, and I don't know if the writer did this on purpose. It's a porno. I mean, what are we doing? It's like so beyond the pale of what I think is acceptable when you're covering and talking about men's or women's college basketball. I mean, they are young people. We do talk about them a little bit differently than we do the pros. And so I think it's brought a lot of people back around on LSU and said, hey, they don't deserve, you could be the villain and you can wear the black hat, but you don't deserve to be compared to a porn. Like it's so awful. And the LA Times has since changed it and they put out a new print. Put out a new edition of it. Who cares? I mean, the damage is done.
Yeah, that's all true. But again, I think tonight, I also, too, I'm not sure what percentage of the TV audience is going to know about all that.
Maybe not.
But I think tonight, I do think America is rooting for Iowa. Just because we saw LSU win already. We know that storyline. We want something a little new. I think the Caitlin Clark story is just a ratings driver. So the other thing too is watch the officiating because I think if Iowa continues to get calls, everyone's gonna be like, "What the heck?" here because they've got a lot of calls.
Oh, it was a huge part of the story against West Virginia. Less so against Colorado because it was such a blowout.
It's such a blowout, but. Yeah, and it's almost like LSU is getting caught up in this Caitlin Clark love affair. I see her in every commercial now.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. Got the Iowa LSU rematch tonight. Ramon is in Indianapolis, has a thought on it. Good morning, Ramon. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you all, too. been having me working a lot of days, so I've missed you guys. I try to listen at work, but they want to watch our earpieces, so I don't want to get caught.
Don't get in trouble.
Great conversation. We need rivalries. We need, Tiger and Phil, remember?
Yeah, Nadal and Federer.
Behind Tiger and Phil, and I'm almost 60, so Larry Bird and Magic I saw firsthand. It's a lot of dynamics there, and it's a lot of dynamics here too. And race is not the fact that LA Times, I did read that. That's racial connotations when you say that, because it's a majority black female team. And they feel that they have to take up for themselves because of a lot of racial. If you listen to Flaw J's conversation yesterday, I'm a rapper and a basketball player, so I've always had to work. It's the same thing. I just don't understand why we just can't appreciate people who just do good things, and we got to have media, not you all, but some in the media or some in this public, in this anti-DEI, whatever mindset, ignorant mindset, I don't know, that we have nowadays, to just appreciate people. I like Caitlin Clark, too. I want her to win because winners get the spoils.
Right.
And she deserves the spoil, and you don't want to go down being the scoring leader and not have won. So I would like to see her win. It has nothing to do with Iowa or the racial context. The girl plays hard. Okay, so that's what we need to appreciate, but we know we got an undercurrent here, and it's really, really sad. But thanks for bringing that up, Maggie. You definitely brought up the good point. I forgot about that movie. That movie was.
I had not heard of it. Ramon, thanks so much for the call. It's good to hear from you. I think that we'd be naive to not think that race plays into everything. A lot of different things. I understand it. And the problem is I think we all were kind of just enjoying the tournament. I think we were enjoying the tournament. I think now there have been things been put on this game that, first of all, these young people shouldn't have to deal with that kind of a pressure, like that this is some kind of referendum on that. And secondly, we were all having a good time here. And then a couple different commentators and people who were writing about the sport kind of muddied this up a little bit when I think there was something a little bit pure about it. Forgive me if I'm naive, that it was just a rivalry heading into this tournament, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Maybe I'm naive.
Yeah, maybe I'm naive. I think millions and millions of people are going to tune into both games tonight, and I think it's going to be totally thrilling.
Yep.
I don't think it's... Yeah, I hope it doesn't take anything away from it. And I don't think it will. I think tonight's game is going to be really... Hopefully it's a close game, too, unlike last year's game. If Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are going head-to-head in the final 3 minutes, it is going to be an all-time basketball moment. I don't think anything can take away from that.
No doubt. EJ, naive to think that going into the tournament, it actually was about the basketball, and now there's been more heaped on it?
Well, yeah, I think so, because at the end of the day, we saw last year what happened. It was a great tournament. Caitlin Clark was on an amazing run. They make this incredible upset over South Carolina. They're playing this LSU team that is very brash, that is very in your face. And we saw how Angel Reese and how LSU celebrated during the game and how that became so over the top when it came to
being called classless.
Right,
yeah,
all the things that happened. So right. I think, yes, they played a full season, and we got to be real. How many people, I know a lot of people are watching women's college basketball during the regular season, but a lot of people just started watching right as this tournament started. So the last thing they remember was those LSU girls who are brash, who are in your face, who are talking trash, who were there. They haven't changed a bit. I mean, Angel Reese is waving goodbye to people who foul out.
The girls crying.
Yeah, girls crying, and
goodbye.
he's waving goodbye.
Yeah.
Yes, during the game in the Elite Eight, she's telling the assistant coach of UCLA to watch your mouth on the handshake line, which got people upset as well. So they haven't changed at all. So people who are tuning back in saying, "All right, it's those girls that we didn't like from last year." So of course, this had that same undertone to it, and I'm not surprised that this LA Times article happened. It's sad, but it is just a reality of the situation.
Yeah. Didn't have to be, though,
No, it didn't. But I think that there's always going to be, as Ramon accurately stated, there's always going to be these undertones that come with this conversation until we continue to progress. And I think the women's game, we're seeing a lot of issues that the men dealt with in the 90s. We're seeing that happen now. Like the issues that the Fab Five and UNLV and those teams dealt with, and then how people related to Duke and how people reacted to them, and perhaps Iowa kind of being the Duke of this time.
Right.
Like we're seeing all of those fights and all of those issues that we talked about back then happen now, but it's just being accelerated because the popularity of the game has accelerated so fast. So it's like we're getting all of that in like a span of 12 months. And it's like, wow, this is a lot. There was a lot of stuff that happened in the history of men's college basketball that got us to those points to have those conversations.
It's a good point. There were also like 15 media outlets maybe then.
Yeah, exactly.
And now there's 500, 5,000, and it's a lot different. Although the LA Times is like one of the papers of record in this country.
So in that scenario, is that in a way a good thing, showing the women's sport is growing? You described it as a growing pain, I think.
Yeah, I think it is.
Hopefully they'll work through this, and it's also a good sign how popular sport is becoming as well.
Absolutely, because I think that these are issues that if you follow women's basketball, they've always had conversations about the difference between how you cover black women and white women in women's basketball. But again, a lot of the attention hasn't been on women's basketball. So now we have a lot of people who are more casual fans, a lot of people who are just tuning in, who are, again, entering this space because of how awesome these women are. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, again, throw in, South Carolina and the team they have, and a lot of the great women we've had this season, the last 2 seasons, Paige Beckers of UConn. And now the interest is there, which comes with those growing pains that, again, a lot of the men's basketball tournament has already dealt with.
Kind of work through. Yep, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. It's well said. Coming up, which superstars talking about retirement? Get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. A lot of excitement for tonight's basketball matchups. LSU, Iowa rematch. Also, I got to tell you, UConn, USC. Juju Watkins is going to become the all-time leading scorer. 8 points behind. All-time leading scorer as a freshman in sports history.
Amazing.
Paige Becker is, of course, the only Naismith winner as a freshman. I think it's a great doubleheader. We do have this bet out there, Maggie.
Yeah.
Me and EJ about which will get a higher rating, the women's basketball final or the men's basketball final. Now, I think I can win this bet if a couple things happen.
Okay, what has to go your way to win this bet where the women are the higher rated final?
Well, and I actually don't have the bracket in front of me, but we need to see Iowa, South Carolina. That would be epic.
Yeah.
And then we need Alabama to beat UConn. Because Alabama, Purdue, Alabama, NC State, that is not outranking Iowa, South Carolina. I feel very comfortable about that.
So we can get UConn, Purdue.
You could get UConn, Purdue. That'll be really good. UConn, NC State be really good.
You can get UConn, NC State, yes.
But if Alabama, there are no neutral Alabama basketball fans. This is basketball. Yes, they would kill it in football.
You mean neutral, like casual?
Yes, there are no hey, let's embrace Alabama basketball. So I think the women's game, I would say 15 to 20 million, could outrate slightly the men's game. Not that this is an important topic. The other thing, too, I saw this last night. The men's game is on TBS Turner this year. So it's not going to be on CBS. That helps. I don't know. It could be. There's going to be. I know TV ratings are stupid, and no one understands why the media focuses on them. Tonight's rating of LSU Iowa is going to be eye popping. I think 15 million tune into.
It's going to be massive.
Yeah.
Do I have a number for you? You think
I feel
15 million?
it's like a Mike and the Mad Dog thing to predict the actual number.
Oh, yeah.
Doggy, I'm going to give this one 1.7. No, I think 15 million. There were 10 million who tuned in for the final game last year. Don't you think it's built? It's built. There are going to be more this year, or maybe not because it's not the final?
I'm tempted to take the under just a little.
Okay.
I think it's going to be more like a 13.5. Although, did we already see a 13.5 this year with one of the Iowa games? Am I crazy? Anyway, we'll see.
It's going to be
exciting. I still think the men, if it's UConn, Purdue.
That's a big game.
It's going to be huge because you have two very well-known programs with one team trying to go back-to-back and another team that has this giant dude in Zach Edey, 7'4", and I think people are tuning in for that.
I kind of think if UConn is there alone, it's going to be big.
Yeah, but UConn last year was not.
State?
Yeah, UConn was not big last year though.
Well, they still beat the women though. And this is talking about UConn trying to repeat. This is a different. Last year was UConn. Last year was UConn where we had not really seen them on the stage in 10 years since Kevin Ollie was coaching them. And here, this is a team where not everybody knows them because they're on this demolition tour of the tournament. If they're in the final, you're saying can they dominate another team in the tournament? I think that will get eyeballs regardless if they play Purdue or NC State.
They are definitely more exciting as a fan now to see it. Last year we knew they were good, but you build so that'd be good. Still, it's not Duke. If Duke could advance somehow here, that would be gigantic.
Well, Duke blew it in the second half yesterday because Duke was playing not well.
They shouldn't have been there. Houston, if Houston had stayed healthy throughout that game, Houston's winning that game, and I am leading the brackets, but no.
Unfortunately not. We do have an update about King for a day.
Yeah, which
do
is
you
annoying.
Want to do that now?
Yeah, you might as well.
Okay.
I mean, so Perloff, somehow, even though he has no points to be gained going forward, he is maxed out at 71, but he is still ahead somehow.
Okay, so what we were doing is whoever on the show was leading our Pearl Jam Season 3 March Madness bracket, the just men's bracket put on by our pal Nick in Texas, whoever was leading from the show got to be king for a day. Now, through the first 2 rounds of the tournament, that was Perloff, and he came in and he made us all sing silly things, and we all looked ridiculous. Now, Perloff is again king for a day. However, Dexter Henry is here, filling in today for Andrew Bogusch.
Uh-oh.
Tomorrow we have Crystal Presti, I believe, is in filling in for Bogusch, right? Bogusch has been ducking Perloff's king for a day. Yeah. And we're not going to allow it to happen. Bogusch is trying to get out of this. Whatever Perloff decrees as king for a day, Bogusch doesn't want any part of it. And so he's, filling in for Bill Ryder today, or he's got all these excuses. So we're just going to wait. And we're going to sit here until the next time Bogusch is in, which is Wednesday, and that's when Perloff gets to be king for a day.
Nice.
I have a theory why Bogusch is ducking this.
Why?
I think it's because he only wants to come in if he is king for a day so that he can make Perloff take him to San Antonio. And when it's not happening, he knows that Perloff's not going to decree that he's going to get to go with him. So he's like, why am I showing up?
You're making a lot of assumptions there. Are we sure Victor Wembanyama is winning Rookie of the Year?
Yeah,
you see the 40 points he dropped on the Knicks the other night? Yeah, it's happening.
Just because
almost beat the Warriors last night.
He's
if one call goes his way.
Averaging a triple-double, you're saying that's going to win Rookie of the Year? Chet Holmgren's got a really cool commercial that's getting a lot of play.
Yeah, that one's played out by now. Oh, my God. Speaking of songs getting
that
stuck
leather
in your
jacket,
head.
you're not into the odd-fitting leather jacket.
Meanwhile, he got dropped like a bag of dirt last night, and nobody could even show us a replay on what happened. Chet Holmgren falls on his shoulder, fouling Jalen Brunson at the end of the game, and we can't even get a replay. Is that guy all right?
I assume he was. I don't know. He was grabbing his arm like it was broken, and they just moved off from the game.
This guy's being wheeled out in a body bag. We can't get a freaking update. Meanwhile, every time someone has a hangnail, we get like 10 days of it on ESPN. Anyway, so not their fault. All right, so 2 things going on. One, if you're just catching up to speed, Perloff is actively losing a bet about Victor Wembanyama being Rookie of the Year. Called him Wen-Bust-Yama. He has to drive to San Antonio when all is said and done and apologize to Wemby, preferably in French. Bogusch wanted to go with Perloff, offered to be wingman. Perloff said no. Just rebuffed him.
No.
Just no. Can't come. Led to some tension, bad feelings. Now Perloff gets to be king for a day because he has done so well in our NCAA tournament bracket, and Bogusch is ducking the show.
So
you make the call, America.
Should Perloff still be allowed to be king for a day? Given
he won it,
but he did he win though? He was already ahead, and now he has no points available. He's going to finish in last. He's literally guaranteed to finish in last.
Well, if Alabama beats UConn, I win.
No,
you'll
you
be
don't.
Taking out all the UConners.
Nobody has NC State.
Oh, I guess that's it.
Yeah,
I think we all agree to these terms, and Perloff keeps winning, so he gets to keep being king for a day.
It's not like the brackets around this room are fire.
He held on for dear life. He's like the Mets at the end of an NL East race. Are you really winning when the Braves have made up 9 games?
Oh, well, because you guys all went UConn. You guys went chalk. You don't deserve it.
I went North Carolina.
Yeah, I know they're going to win, but I had to say something. I had to go Auburn, just hopeful. And now I'm cheering for Alabama to knock off UConn so I can beat you. Who was your Final Four, EJ?
Well, I have UConn, so that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
There you go.
So that's why I'm still in there.
That's an interesting non-answer.
Here's what it is. Perloff's king for a day, and he will get to do all these decrees and punishments and stuff once Andrew Bogusch is back in that seat. Dexter Henry is here, though, doing a fantastic job filling in for Bogusch. You've got headlines for us, yes?
Got some headlines for you. We're going to start with the NFL. Cameron Sutton, veteran cornerback, wanted for weeks by the police in Florida for his alleged involvement in a domestic violence case. He turned himself in on Sunday. This, according to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Police had been unable to locate Sutton since March 7th when an arrest warrant was issued for him. They responded to a call early that morning at a house in Lutz, Florida, where Sutton allegedly battered a woman before fleeing the scene. The 29-year-old cornerback joined the Lions as an unrestricted free agent in 2023. Lions released him on March 21st, the day after the team found out about the warrant for his arrest.
That moved fast, by the way. I noticed, and this is not scientific. I'm like, wow, he must be really guilty. There are a lot of cases that take time to play out. They cut him fast, and that's a team that needs quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's probably not a way to look at a criminal investigation, but the fact that the team wasn't willing to wait at all says to me, wow, this is a bad situation.
They didn't wait at all, and he was evading authorities for weeks. I'm not sure.
There was a report he was in the facility when they were looking for him too, so it's all very confusing.
Very confusing there. You guys talked about this. This is what a lot of people will be watching. Ratings should be good, as you were talking about this for tonight. Big time matchup in women's basketball. We have a rematch of last year's national championship game. LSU and Iowa, they will face off. Tigers head coach Kim Mulkey, she says Caitlin Clark is a special talent.
Caitlin Clark is a generational player, and she's not all about threes. She can pass the ball. She can take you off the dribble. Obviously, our focus will be on her, but not solely on her. Caitlin's going to do what she does. You're not going to stop her. You just hope that you can contain her a little bit.
Just hope that you can contain her. Tip off for that one at 7 o'clock Eastern tonight.
She is a nifty passer.
She's got 1,000 career assists.
Yeah.
It's not just the 3,000 points, over 3,000 assists. I mean, Kim Mulkey's right, though. It's going to be the rest of the team.
Well, but Caitlin's not shooting well. I mean, we've been talking about this. I saw she's under 30% from three, where she's normally way higher. Yep. So I think defenses have been focusing and making the other players beat you, and they've done it. Kim Mulkey's not lying. Caitlin will distribute the ball. I think this game comes down to 3-point shooting. I mean, that's any college basketball game.
Caitlin's passing in that Elite game was surgical. I mean, I think she had 11 assists at halftime, whatever. I mean, it was.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the way she passed the ball is underrated for sure.
Yep. It's going to be key for the role players to knock down shots in that one. We will see. We talked about this earlier, guys. LeBron joining a rare club with Michael Jordan, becoming the only players in NBA history with multiple games of 40 points or more after turning 39. Bron dropped 40 in Brooklyn last night in a win over the Nets. But after the game, he was asked about how much time does he have left to play in the association. Take a listen.
This is still like a head turner for a lot of people.
Yeah, not very long. Not very long. I'm on the other side, obviously at a hill, so I'm not going to play another 21 years. That's for damn sure. But not very long. I don't know when that door will close as far as when I'll retire, but I don't have much time left.
Guys, LeBron says he doesn't have that much time left. How much longer do we think he can play at this level that we're seeing?
Well, I mean, probably another 3 years, probably.
Whoa. I thought you were going to say 1 year. You think 3 years of this?
Definitely. But he's still like the best player, first or second best player on his team right now.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. I just scored 40 points last night, but
well,
3
the Nets
years.
are not. They're cosplaying as an NBA franchise right now. They did 1, 2, 3 Cancun long ago. But here's my question: why say this now? I know he was asked about it, but LeBron's always got a couple strategic things that motivate the team, motivate the Lakers, maybe to draft Bronny. Like, what's behind this? Because he could always just say, "Guys, I'm not thinking about it right now."
I mean, I think just like he did last year in that conference finals, I think he realizes these playoffs are not going to be friendly to the Lakers.
Oh, so he's already setting the look over here.
Yeah, like, hey, man, like I'm about to retire, so don't give me any crap if we, lose in the first playing game or something like that.
What do you mean? So last year when they lost 4-0 to the Nuggets, he was saying, "I'm about to retire."
Yeah, he took all of any kind of criticism about getting swept totally off the picture because we were talking about, wait, is LeBron not going to come back next year?
Brilliant, marketing, not marketing. Brilliant strategic move there to turn the conversation from not LeBron got swept, but is this it? Is this the last we've seen of him? Maybe he's doing the same thing.
Who was criticizing LeBron? They were a play-in team that got to the conference finals and played a much better team. I don't remember us ripping LeBron.
No, we didn't get to.
You also have to remember that LeBron was someone who was critical of the play-in tournament, and then that benefited him getting to those conference finals last year.
Oh, sure.
So now he knows he's going to probably be in the play-in tournament again.
But back to Maggie's point, there's no way. You're telling me he could last 3 more years? It's got to be the end of this year and next year is it. It's got to be next year's retirement tour.
Wait, but let's think about it. If he really wants to play with Bronny, we're talking about LeBron James, who said last night after a win in Brooklyn that he doesn't have a lot of time left. He was asked about retirement. Bronny is not ready for the NBA right now. I think we can all agree. We're not exactly NBA scouts around here, but
Scoring
I think
5 points a game in college, you think that's, definitely not.
LeBron would be doing him a disservice by having him cut the line just because he's LeBron's kid. That's not going to help him in any way, I don't think. So have him stay in college for another year. So that's 1 more year. Then you need his rookie year. Then maybe like another year. I don't know.
The only way LeBron is like Wolverine. I think he could be old man Logan. This idea, I think the only way we see LeBron actually fall off as if, and I'm not wishing on it, knocking on wood, if there's some injury that really, sidelines his career.
To be fair, that's never come. All these years later, 21 years later.
It's incredible. I don't know how this happened. He's avoided serious injury for pretty much his entire career, 20 years. But, the way he's playing, I watched him play last night, is there any drop-off from his game? Maybe he's a little less athletic, but, he's still putting up huge numbers. He's still able to carry the team. He just can't play as often as he used to, but half the league does that. That's fine.
So I have another theory behind why I think LeBron will play at least 3 more years. Because we're getting at least 1.5 retirement tours. He's got to go through the whole league as a retirement. Everyone can tell him how much he's meant to the game. And he's got to get all the retirement things. Derek Jeter did it. Mariano Rivera. Who else did retirement tours?
Didn't
LeBron
LeBron say he wasn't sure if he wanted to retire?
Yeah, he said that.
Okay.
Sure. We're getting more than one. Because now, if Tom Brady can retire and come back, you don't think that LeBron's also going to pull that one in the playbook?
Ooh.
Definitely.
I don't know. It's not. I feel like it's harder to do all that in basketball. Quarterback, you just sit back there in the pocket. You don't have to be young. We've seen a lot of older quarterbacks. We've not seen a lot of 40-plus-year-old basketball players. LeBron is breaking anything he does now breaks every record, right? Jamal Crawford was balling out there, but generally, it's what's the oldest player that's ever made an impact? Is there ever been a?
Didn't Kareem play till he was 40?
Right, Kareem.
But 40, if you're saying in your model 43, has there ever been a guy who was effective at 43? And I don't think LeBron wants to play if he's not effective. I don't think he's going to do a Vince Carter at the end of his career where he's scoring 7 points a game.
Right.
I guess the question I asked Pro is: do you just see any drop off from? I can't imagine him being Vince Carter at the end of his career.
Defense, certainly. I don't think he's doing I'm going to shut down the best player a lot anymore.
No, you can't.
He probably could do it. He did it recently.
He could do it in possessions. I remember that game, and I hate to bring up the Knicks again, but there was a play where he had to guard Brunson. He got switched off for him, and he looked like it was 2011.
Yeah, he'll do that.
How did he even do that?
He did. He did that last year to Devin Booker. And I think it was Booker. It was terrifying. But I just think he's just not the all-around dominant player he used to be. He runs like an old man a little bit. You know that old man run on a basketball court? He's got a little bit of it.
Tell us more about it, sir.
Yeah. Watch me try and go from one 3-point line to the other 3-point line. He's got a little bit of old man running.
Got a little Perloff in him?
Last week on the podcast, he said that he's basically a 2003 Hummer if you never change the tires. Those are his feet right now, he said. So that's why he tells his wife to rub his feet, because he's like a 2003 Hummer that has not changed the tires.
Yeah, I don't think most people get that reference because I don't think most people can afford a Hummer.
2003 Hummer. By the way, did you see, this is a quick left turn, Shador's new car? We'll get to that in a little bit. Shador's wild for this one. I was like, what am I watching? Dexter, thank you so much. Coming up, we've got bad news for the defending champs. What happened and what could be the dominoes that fall because of it? We see you guys on the phones as well. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break.
What is the difference between DSLR, mirrorless, and point-and-shoot cameras? Let's take a look.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, unload it.
Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, talking a lot of college hoops this morning. Men's Final Four is set. We get Iowa LSU on the women's side tonight. Rematch of the championship game a year ago. Big Easy is in New Orleans, wants to talk about that women's matchup. Hey, Big Easy, how are you?
Good morning, Maggie and Perloff. I just want to talk to you about real quick. You're going to get everything you want tonight. You're going to have the Bayou Princess. You're gonna have, of course, Iowa coming in. You got everything you want tonight. I do wish I would did a bracket on. Not a lot of people do women's bracket. I do. I mean, I think it's a better product this year, especially this year.
Yeah.
I do think LSU is going to win because I think they can. If you double team her like Indiana did, and Indiana just stayed on her triple team most of the night, and
Caitlin,
they ended up beating her.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just feel like they're going to do something similar to that. I do have LSU and South Carolina in the final, and I believe the four-letter channel should use a clip of the fight and then have Michael Buffer as the announcer for the beginning of the fight of the finals.
Yes.
And that's when you're going to get your eyeballs on it. Just keep showing it over
Just keep
and over
leaning
and over.
into it, right? Lean into all the things that make people maybe a little bit uncomfortable. You know, women trash talking each other, or maybe women getting into fights. I don't know if it's the thing you want to promote, Big Easy, and use to sell sell the matchup, but you think lean in a little more to these rivalries.
It's about clicks, Maggie. We don't like that. We don't want that. We want to just see a great game. But the fact is that if you're running a channel or a station, that this is what you want. You want the clicks. And by the way, I just got one other question.
Sure.
As far as King of the Day and him on the bet.
Yes.
I was just curious on how does legal feel about him traveling over the road on a bet, and I don't know if y'all looked into that or not. I'll hang up a listen. I love your show, and I'll talk to y'all later.
Big easy.
Wait, what?
Shh. Wait, hold on. So we've got a lot of things going on, so I can imagine it could be a little bit confusing. So King for a Day is just Perloff gets to make us do silly things right here around the office. So last week he had me do a dramatic reading of Who Let the Dogs Out.
Yeah.
And he
outstanding, by the way.
Thank you. He had EJ singing
Ice
Baby.
Poorly.
We will never forget it. Pete Bellotti was Baby
I'm
Got
Too
Back?
Sexy.
I'm Too Sexy.
Yeah.
How could I forget that? Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. The other is, Perloff, this has been more of a season-long thing about you driving to San Antonio to apologize to Victor Wembanyama, for calling him a bust when he's about to win Rookie of the Year. But we didn't tell anyone in the office.
No, I don't. There's no legal concern. I mean, I drive every day. You're saying? He said drive over a road, so that puts us in danger's way. The time off might be an issue.
I thought you're still doing the show this whole time. In my head, you're doing the show from different motels and stuff along the highway.
Let's be honest about what the real tension is here. There are a lot of people in the room who are upset that I am making this into a really fun road trip. They're like, you lost the bet. You can't go see all your friends.
I am all people.
No, you're not alone.
A lot of people in the chat, too, are like, this was supposed to be some kind of a punishment, and Perloff's turning it into a fun summer road trip where you get to go see friends in Chicago and take a left at Nashville and, make this into a fun thing.
If you actually go back to the tape, the day I made this tape, I said, and if I lose the bet, I get to see Sark in Texas football, maybe the Red River rivalry. So I knew when I made this bet, part of it was to go see football. So I knew what I was doing. I wouldn't have made the bet if it was some torturous
Okay, right,
road
but
trip.
you want to see football, that's one thing. Saying I'm going to go to Chicago to get deep dish pizza is another thing.
Well, we already, believe me, Chicago is just the tip of the iceberg. I already have plans in Nashville. Then I'm going to come down to go a little bit back east to New Orleans, then drive through Galveston, and then maybe up through Houston. End up, where am I even going? San Antonio. Stopping a lot of friends in Austin. This is going to be an amazing trip.
By the way, Perloff started planning this route the first Wemby triple-double of the season. Let's go to Birdie's in Florida. Hey, Birdie, good morning.
Good morning. A little off topic, but definitely current events is April 8th is the total solar eclipse, which is going straight through Buffalo. It'll be plunged into total darkness in Buffalo, which will basically just be like repeating the end of the football season.
Thank you, Birdie. And there it is. Well done. Well played. Absolutely right.
April 8th. So that means there will be, 9 inches of snow in Buffalo?
It's up like that. And generally rather cloudy.
I must say, will they even notice there's a solar eclipse up there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's mean, EJ.
It's funny that we're going to have 2 moments of total darkness as in the city of Buffalo. Every time the Bills season ends, and then now. Thank you, Birdie, for pointing that out, sir.
What would happen if the Bills actually won a Super Bowl? Could you even imagine? We kept asking about Philly, and we saw it. Is grease poles a thing there? Is that something you're going to have to do?
No. Streetlights? I know what I would do. I think I would weep like a child. I think I would cry.
By the way,
a baby.
Big snow coming to Buffalo today.
Oh my God, April 1st.
Of course.
I might be misreading this, but yeah.
No, that's normal. You still have one more big snowstorm in April. Coming up, the tournament team on the doorstep of history.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's destined to get knocked out by Jake Paul. She's destined to film it. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Smith dribbles past Ziegler, lobbing underneath, and Edey knows what to do. The two-hand flush at the rim, 63-60. Boilermakers by 3.
They would go on to win Purdue in the Final Four for the first time since 1980. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, and Perloff, I think there was a deep exhale for everybody at Purdue. You lose as a 1 seed to a 16 seed last year. To now go back to the Final Four is a tremendous accomplishment. Zach Edey was incredible yesterday. The 40 points, 16 rebounds, 13 for 21. I mean, he was the story of a fantastic game between he and Dalton Connect of Tennessee. Just a high-level, awesome basketball game. Purdue comes out the victor. However, I still believe that if they lose in the Final Four, well, they'll now be facing NC State, who is the Cinderella, the darling of the tournament as an 11 seed. I still think that would be a disappointment for Purdue. Yes, they got the monkey off their back because they've made it to the Final Four, but they haven't truly lived up to their full potential if they don't make it to the title game.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I mean, of course, it'd be disappointing not to beat NC State, but I do think if you pull back, I think Purdue's gotten over a huge hump here, and they will not be viewed the same way next season because they were known really as a tournament choker.
Definitely.
And I think right now in the moment, maybe if they lose to NC State, but we'll totally talk about Matt Painter in a different light because he'll be a Final Four coach. I mean, we watched Rick Barnes on the other sideline. He's going to be known as a disappointment when he retires what's been a very illustrious career. But the fact that he hasn't made a Final Four is going to be a headline there. Not so with Matt Painter. He's fine.
Okay, but the facts will still be the facts, which is Purdue, again, losing to a double-digit seed. Now, if they lose in the Final Four? Now, it would have been to an NC State team that has gone on this incredible run. Yet, nonetheless, we talk about them losing to FDU. We've talked about them losing to St. Peter's. We've talked about them losing to North Texas. That's just in the last 4 years. This would be another loss to a double-digit seed. Again, I think so much of the air would be taken out of the balloon for Purdue. I mean, it's like the, letdown of all letdowns to get this far, and then you get a dream matchup because you are getting this NC State team that was only 2 weeks ago left for dead, or 3 weeks ago left for dead, and to not be able to take care of them when you have the back-to-back reigning player of the year in college basketball, just not the storybook ending that Purdue is hoping for.
So you're saying the letdown of all letdowns is not losing when you're number 1 seed to a 16 seed?
Well, that one was bad.
I just think it's a lot different. Losing the Final Four to an 11 seed is a lot better than losing to a 15 seed or a 16 seed, especially a 16 seed in the first round.
But look what UVA did. They lost to a 16 seed, and they won the whole dang thing the next year.
So you can't say, that's what always happens when you lose to a 16 team. You have to win. First of all, I do think they are probably going to beat NC State. They're gigantic favorites, and I don't know how that NC State's going to overcome the officials and Purdue. And that being said, so they are probably going to make the final. Honestly, they were so low in everyone's opinion coming into this.
That's
and
true.
We saw all the regular season wins. I just think it's a different team. And we're talking about it afterwards. They were all in tears.
Yeah.
Matt Painter was crying. Our guy, Robbie Hummel, who we've interviewed many times, former Purdue star, who's now doing the games for Westwood One, bawling. So honestly, that to me says all that you need to know. They got over the gigantic hump. They sort of slayed the dragon, as it were.
Okay, but the tournament's not over. See, that's the thing. I think we let some of these teams off, not some of these teams, we let Purdue off the hook a little bit if we say, all right, mission accomplished, everybody. You made it back to the Final Four. A 1 seed in this tournament. If it was UConn, I don't think we'd be having that same, that same bar. I think
because they just won the tournament last year.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. We're now looking at UConn and saying championship or bust. Why would we not be saying the same thing about Purdue?
Because Purdue hasn't made the Final Four since 1980. And I just looked it up. Joe Barry Carroll was leading that team.
I know, but it's been an all-time disappointment, and they're changing the narrative now, but it's not fully changed, in my opinion, until they get to the title game. Can I give you some poll results to back it up? At Maggie and Pearl, where you can go and vote. Would it still be a disappointment for Purdue if they lose to NC State in the Final Four? 76% say yes.
Yeah, but that wording is ridiculous. That does not even tell half the story that we're talking about here. Would it be disappointing? It's basically that reads, would it be disappointing if Purdue, as a 9-point favorite, lost to NC State? Yes, of course it'd be disappointing.
Yeah, but you're talking about they've already they've already slayed the dragon. They've already accomplished this, and everyone's crying, as they're cutting down the nets because, congrats, guys, you've done it. You've done one thing. You haven't done it all.
Right,
and I don't think NC State's thinking about it that way.
But do you think if they lose to NC State, everyone next year when Purdue is a 1, 2, or 3 seed, actually they probably won't be, but next time they're a high seed, or we can say, well, they are famous tournament chokers because they lost in the Final Four. See, I think they've sort of gotten that past that. And also Purdue is never going to be UConn, who's always at the top of their conference. I mean, Purdue's in the Big Ten. They are a basketball school, but they're not a dominant, they're not Duke, UConn, Kentucky. So I think the bar is a lot lower. I don't think it's title or bust for Purdue. That doesn't sound right.
Well, it does when you have the 2-time player of the year, to me.
Yeah, 2-time player of the year just because he wasn't good enough to go pro. That's the only reason he's 2-time player of the year.
Well, either way, I mean, he is. He's 7'4". The officials have no idea how to referee this guy, and Zach Edey, of course, and they're the beneficiaries of everything. I mean, they've gotten, what else can you say? They've gotten this tournament is set up perfectly for them. And now they get NC State. I mean, in the Final Four, again, this to me screams a chance. This is another opportunity for them as a top seed, one of the top seeds in this tournament, to assert some dominance here.
This Naismith winner, I don't think there's been a Naismith winner who's done anything in the tournament in a long time. Maybe I'm missing somebody, but it's like Zion was the Naismith player of the year. Did he get past the Sweet 16? No.
That's Elite 8.
What's that?
Elite 8.
Yeah, but I mean,
Zach Edey is a senior.
Yeah, Oscar Schwebe the year before, he didn't do anything ever in the tournament, did he? Luka Garza, definitely. They never got anywhere, as I recall. And I'm looking, Obi Toppin got robbed. Zion did nothing. Jalen Brunson was good. But generally, though, it's just because you have the best player in college basketball, it doesn't mean anything anymore. The sport's not set up that way. It's the old guys who have no talent who always win this thing.
But again, we've got Purdue, who is a seasoned team. I guess all these teams are kind of seasoned.
They're all pretty old.
That's college basketball. I mean, don't look at NC State. It's like a bunch of grad transfers.
Yeah, NC State, half those guys should have been retired by now.
But I still think there's more to do. Wrongers in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. If you want to watch us host, says Maggie, you're wrong. I live in Indianapolis. We're all happy Purdue has finally made it to the Final Four. That's fine. You can be happy. And I think everyone's happy. But the crying, the we've done it, the mission accomplished, that to me, it's a little early for that. Like, yes, you were bounced in the tournament last year in the first round. Super embarrassing, humbling, all of that stuff. Now you've gotten back to the Final Four, but the goal should be championship.
It's a little different, but I think there are a lot of similarities. When Gonzaga got to the Final Four finally,
right,
there was an attitude of like, oh, wow, well, at least now they finally got there. Maybe there isn't this attitude there, like just mooching off of playing in a bad conference.
Right.
They've now made the Final Four another time since then. So twice they've made the Final Four since then. And they still get conversations about those guys always don't get it done in March. They always come up short. Even though they've been to the Final Four, Mark Few has this record for consecutive Sweet 16. They still can't shake that. So I think to Maggie's point, I think there is going to be something about Purdue. If they lose, this is going to be, well, of course they weren't going to win a championship. They're Purdue. They never come through in the clutch. Even though they have an 11 seed, that's tailor-made for them.
I'm looking at one Naismith winner, Buddy Hield. Remember his college career? Yeah. I think he made the Final Four and gets credit for that. Nobody cares that they lost by 100 points in his one final. Remember they lost to Villanova?
Yeah.
It was a 45-point game. I just think certain teams, all you have to do is make the Final Four. UConn, of course, if UConn doesn't win at all, that's a major disappointment. Anybody who says Purdue not winning at all is a disappointment, that's crazy to me because they're going to be, they'll be legit underdogs against UConn, right?
And I believe that's the matchup we all want to see. Now, NC State has become like the story of the tournament, the 11th seed, how they had to blaze through the ACC tournament. They were 17-14. They were not getting in until they went on this incredible run through the ACC tournament. Now through the tournament, DJ Burns is a household name or becoming one. I have this crazy big Texas cinnamon roll here because DJ Burns' side hustle is owning vending machines. So we picked out this sorry cinnamon roll. It's been sitting in our vending machine for 5 months.
Who gets to eat that?
We're going to eat this now.
We?
Yeah. Yeah, we.
Okay.
I know
I
I'm
think
not king for a day, but you guys got to help me out with this thing.
I think that's poll worthy. Do people want to see Purdue or NC State? Because NC State is the lovable underdog. Maybe you could go that direction. I certainly want to see NC State Alabama in the final. Because if Alabama beats UConn, then I am king for the day. Then I win our whole bracket here.
Oh, so it's a selfish reason.
Nobody had Alabama in the Final Four. But also, I think you can make an argument that NC State is a team people want to see.
I think people want to see UConn Purdue because there is like the fascination around Edey, I think, because he's so big. And obviously UConn going for history of the back-to-back champs. NC State, though, has really weaved its way into our like hearts and minds. I mean, they've really won over the public. And how could they not? It's a, feel-good story about a team clicking at the right time. And they have a lovable sort of Renaissance man, big man. Everyone loves a stocky.
Yeah, how are you going to say this?
Hefty, big guy who's very
lefty.
comfortable in his own skin.
The fact that he's a lefty is a huge bonus here. Everybody loves an unorthodox lefty big man because nobody knows which way he's going to spin. I don't care how many times you cover a lefty. They're impossible to cover.
Yeah, the gap in between the teeth, a little Michael Strahan style. Like he's just he's just got a very good demeanor.
I mean, he's really stepped up. I think the first game against Duke was his career high, and then he beat Duke again, and it's amazing. I think you're underestimating how unlikely this. They might be if they got to the final game, they might be the most unlikely team we've ever seen in the finals.
Butler to do it
Butler's
twice.
First or second one? The second one was.
First one. No one knew Gordon Hayward was going to be like an NBA player at that point. I mean, maybe we did.
No. I mean, I think during the season, it became clear that Gordon Hayward was going to be a top 5
But nobody had heard of these guys before. Gordon Hayward, Brad Stevens, these were not the household names that they are. No one would have thought Brad Stevens 10 years later is going to be running the Celtics. Like, that's a...
The second Butler team was less so because they'd already done it.
Right.
You're right. But that Butler team is actually, I think you could argue, this NC State team was 17-14.
No,
they
I know.
had no prayer. I think this is almost as unlikely.
I think to Perloff's point, that is a big difference. Like Butler, whether or not you thought they were whatever, like they were a good team. Like they won a lot of games. Maybe it was in the Horizon Conference, and people didn't pay attention as much or value it as much. But they were a team that won 30-something games. Like NC State has 14 losses or whatever.
I get it. And we're talking about NC State now, the unlikely Final Four team. We're talking they're going to meet Purdue in the Final Four. Talking about Purdue and whether it's just enough for them to make the Final Four or should they have aspirations that are much higher than that. You saw the Purdue team just basically kind of devolve into like puddles after this to sort of exhale like, mission accomplished. But, there's more to do here. You're one of the 1 seeds of this tournament. Go out and win the whole thing. A pause on NC State. I don't think they are considered a Cinderella. They're the lowest seed remaining in this tournament, and they're a great story, and they've got the public on their side, and we're all rooting for them. But you are in the ACC, where you are a basketball school in the ACC, where you had to beat Virginia, North Carolina, and Duke on your way to this tournament. I'm sorry, you're not a Cinderella. Butler's a Cinderella. George Mason is a Cinderella. VCU is a Cinderella. I cannot put NC State as a Cinderella.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. So you're telling me Jimmy V beating Houston, running around the court, that wasn't a Cinderella story?
I think it was, but that was also kind of the beginning of NC State, right? Like really
beginning and end, as it turned out.
Well, I don't know.
No. I mean, I think NC State
hiatus.
They were obviously they were a bigger program then. They had that big guy McMillan, David Thompson. That was their glory days had already passed at that point. And then they really passed. Although they had Chris Corgiani and Rodney Monroe. You guys are too young. That was the sickest backcourt.
Julius Hodge. Shout out to Julius Hodge, New York. He was nice.
I was thinking NC State is pretty unlikely. I'm looking at this Butler team. You're right. Not a lot of people called Butler going all the way. But I think they were in the Big East at the time.
No, they were still in the Horizon.
What did they get in the Big East?
They were in the Horizon.
And they came within basically Gordon Hayward missed 3-point shot and eyelash, right, of beating Duke.
Yeah. It was right off the glass, almost winning.
They went in the Big East in 2013 after their second title game. I don't know. It just this one feels way more unlikely to me because that was a downtime in college basketball. They had Gordon Hayward. This NC State team does not belong here. That's the amazing part about them.
More poll results for you, and that is, do you consider, is NC State a true Cinderella? Perloff, 73% of people with you on that one. Yes, they are. Okay, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So you got two things on the table for you. One, is it just good enough that Purdue got to the Final Four? Considering what they've been through, losses to FDU, losses to St. Peter's, losses to North Texas. I mean, it's been some pretty lean years here for Purdue, some pretty disappointing tournaments. The fact they got to the Final Four, is that good enough? To me, if they lose to NC State, woof. I mean, you're one seed in the tournament. And then,
oh, my God. NC State is awesome. I totally disagree. I mean, I think Purdue wins because I don't think NC State can handle Edey. But there's no shame in losing to this NC State team, in my opinion.
And then the other question, is NC State a true Cinderella? So you're welcome to weigh in on either of those, 855-212-4CBS. I'm also being told, in honor of DJ Burns, who owns a vending machine company on the side, we decided to take the sorriest looking thing in our vending machine. I swear this Texas cinnamon roll thing has been sitting here since October. I'm going to slice it all up, and we're all going to have a bite. I can't make you. I'm asking, will you join me in having a bite of this cinnamon roll? Where I'm being told in the chat daily says, Maggie, no expiration date means that is a bunch of old chemicals. Don't eat it.
Yeah,
I'll pass.
Yeah, the ingesting might happen. Can a taste happen?
A taste.
We can negotiate that. It is not being ingested. Sorry.
So you're going to taste it and spit it out?
Probably.
Cost me $1.60.
That's the most I would do.
Oh, it smells good. All right. Let's slice this thing up. 855-212-4CBS. If you'd like to watch this go down, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Okay, coming up, lots to do, including an update for you from the NFL, and it involves the defending champs. And there could be some major changes coming to the Chiefs soon. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. Kind of in a slow NFL news week, which is rare. They usually own the offseason. But we got, unfortunately, some bad news. This weekend, Kansas City Chiefs rookie wide receiver who had a great breakout year last year, became a key component of the offense, has allegedly been involved in a car accident where it seems like, there's a lot more to come out, that people were drag racing and Rashee Rice has been linked to it. And police are still looking for answers from Mr. Rice. Very bad news because he is a huge part of this Chiefs offense. And if this goes poorly, it could be, to me, another blow for the defending champs.
Yeah, I mean, lucky that nobody was killed in this accident, which ended up involving 6 different cars.
Yeah.
And one of those cars is registered or connected to Rashee Rice, as you said, Perloff. And amazing that everyone walked away from this. So that's first and foremost. But secondly, if Rashee Rice is part of this, I mean, the NFL is going to come down with a major suspension or something. You just had Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was just also got in trouble for drag racing recently. Mm-hmm. There's been issues about this. We know Georgia's had their issues with this going back to the college, which got an incredibly tragic ending. I think the league would probably come down kind of hard here. And so what does that mean, not to be callous, but what does that mean for the defending 2-time back-to-back champs and the Chiefs going for a three-peat? I mean, they already had to add a receiver to begin with, in my opinion. Now maybe you have to get a lot more aggressive if you are the Chiefs, who kind of sat back this offseason and didn't do much. They re-signed Chris Jones, which was good. L'Jarius Sneed gets traded away because they couldn't pay him. But how have you meaningfully added to the offense? And now you've got this situation potentially with Rashee Rice. I mean, not a way you want to go into the offseason. And for Rice, I mean, if this is actually him and he's involved in this, then, obviously that's a whole other mountain to climb.
Yeah, it's a bummer because he was one of the great stories of last year. It's rare that a non-first round, well, it's actually not that rare, but that a lower round receiver really makes such an impact at that high a level. The Chiefs are fascinating when you take like a team building perspective on them. They could trade Tyreek Hill, arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, and win 2 more Super Bowls after that. I would not have predicted that. At a certain point, there's a reason nobody repeats. So they are the first team since the Patriots in 2004 to repeat. There's a reason no one's ever three-peated.
Right.
Because it takes a lot to go right, to keep your team healthy, to keep your team out of trouble, to keep everyone on the same page. Because I also think success breeds trouble in the sense that, guys win and
they want to get paid.
They want to get paid, or maybe the celebration, the Super Bowl hangover goes on a little long. There's just so much that can go wrong, and I think you're seeing. I feel very confident the Chiefs are not going to three-peat. Now, I know it's stupid to bet against the Chiefs, but you just see, they lost Need. I think that's a big deal. I don't think that's a small thing at all. Chris Jones, by the way, they paid him. He's getting a lot older. Travis Kelce's getting a lot older.
Yep.
It's just there's no three-peat happening, and that sounds crazy because I don't know how you pick against this Chiefs team. You have Josh Allen in Buffalo who feels like they'll never be able to beat Patrick Mahomes, but the reality is there's just too much that has to happen to go right, and I don't see it happening again.
Should mention, that the Chiefs did add Hollywood Brown.
And?
Well, that's exactly it.
What is that, his seventh team in 3 years?
Yeah, but maybe with Patrick Mahomes, it's different. Than Lamar Jackson. I don't know. He already was with a good quarterback, but not like Mahomes.
He'll have the MVS role where he just goes deep every play and maybe has 5 key catches in the playoffs to beat the Bills.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so that's what's going on with the Chiefs. Now, in honor of DJ Burns, the big man from NC State, who has a side hustle of owning a vending machine company, we took this big Texas cinnamon roll. It's been sitting in our vending machine here at headquarters for many, many months. Now, Dexter, you already tried this. EJ, you already tried this. Perloff and Bellotti refuse. I'm going to try it now. Again, this was in sitting here for maybe 5 months. YouTube.com/CBS.
Are you looking at the expiration date?
Twitch.tv/CBS. You won't find one. There's no expiration.
2029.
This is going to outlast us all. A nuclear bomb could drop in.
This will outlast
this cinnamon roll will be unhurt. Okay. Oh, man. That was so bad.
Yes. That's what I told
really
you.
Bad.
I tried to tell you.
Why is it stale?
Yeah.
It's so stale.
Beyond stale.
When Maggie says I tried it, let me be clear. There was no ingesting that happened. It was a take a few bites, realize this wasn't going to go well for my sensitive stomach, into the garbage.
You're lucky because, pardon me, I don't like to talk with my mouth full, but it also leaves, I'm sorry to this company,
Aftertaste.
Yeah.
I'm still experiencing that. I'm trying
real yoga mat.
Yes.
It's like
chemical.
the metallic.
Yeah.
You know what, EJ? I should have been as smart as you and just spit it out, but yeah, I ingested. So
I'm looking at the expiration date on here. There's a series of numbers. It says 091225200. Does that mean this is good to the year 5200? That's how I'm doing the math.
It's the year 3000.
I think that's the last time. It was 30 years ago, the last time they changed out this thing could be here from the time that
dinosaurs roam the earth.
I mean, Mike and the Mad Dog might have been. This might have come over from the Queen's office.
They broke up in 2005. Yeah, DJ Burns would never. I would imagine, and again, not to stereotype, but a guy who weighs 245 pounds, who's 6'9", he's a big dude. I imagine he has visited a few vending machines in his life, and I would hope that he has a real strong opinion on what's in these vending machines that he sells. Well,
is the issue what is in our vending machines, or the fact that nobody trusts them? Because yes. there's nothing in theory wrong with a cinnamon bun. It's the fact that it's us and this building, and we know how long these things have been in there, and that's probably gonna be ice cold because it's in a thing that with sodas and drinks, and not in a sweets snacks vending machine that make people think, I'm not gonna pass.
There's got to be separation between the vending machines. You can't have the drinks with the sweet. I'm
it's
with
like
you
church
there.
and state. We just don't have it here.
By the way, it's not like we're complaining about free food either. I mean, there are certain stations out there that provide talent with food. TV stations. There's craft service. We can't even get good stuff in the vending machine.
Yeah, it's funny. This is actually labeled as $1.50, but it charged me $1.60. And I was like, a little insult to injury, 10 extra cents.
Lying to the people. As well.
I'm just so happy
pastries are going up. You got to
inflation.
Inflation.
I'm so happy that there's coffee. When I came here, it was now almost 3 years ago. There was a big controversy about the coffee. Because they had to switch away from the Keurig because everybody was stealing the Keurig pods. That's where we were as a company.
I didn't know why it got changed. That's what happened?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Am I allowed to bring that up?
I never knew that was the reason.
That is not the first company I've worked at that had the same exact problem.
Where people were stealing the Keurig pods.
Bringing them home. Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's happened in pretty much every company in America, by the way.
I mean, when I was at Spectrum News in New York City, we that never was a thing. That's crazy.
That was not a thing that you knew about, but trust me, people were taking home the Keurig pots.
My parents owned a restaurant growing up. People would steal everything from them. First of all, people would try to walk out of the cooler with like tenderloins and stuff. That was just straight up theft. But also bottles of alcohol from the bar. This is people who work for them. Toilet paper. You'd be shocked at how many of my parents' own staff tried to steal toilet paper from the restaurant to take home.
Yeah, during the pandemic, I get that because there was no toilet paper.
Yeah, because it was hard to come by.
But I think people don't think it's stealing to take Keurigs. I think they think, oh, these cost nothing. I'm just going to take a few home because they're expensive at home. It costs like $15 to get 10 of them at my grocery store.
What I find interesting about that is that not everybody, but a good amount of people have to be doing this for then the company to realize that this is happening. So why isn't everybody maybe just like, it's greed? That's the answer.
I think they were taking boxes.
Yeah.
Boxes?
Not exactly.
Like under the coach?
Boxes.
Yeah. I think it was like a bulk.
Pete, that's very bold to walk out with a box. That's just very bold.
The boxes are not big.
Yeah.
That's true. Actually, with the Keurigs, they're really small.
Yeah, it's not like a giant box.
So you could throw it in a bag.
So they went to this odd sort of semi-Keurig pod thing.
Right, and that didn't work.
Because nobody has one of those at home.
Oh, right. It was like the circular discs. Yeah, that was
like
a pain.
Frisbees.
The Frisbees, yes.
I
like the coffee now.
Yeah, the coffee. Now we are sponsored by, we're not sponsored, but Dunkin' Donut does it. And it's actually really good.
Yeah.
I mean, if we had a Starbucks,
put a nice
free Starbucks, we'd all be
excited.
Iced tea.
We'd all be tweaked out on Starbucks all day.
I'd be on Mars right now for that much of Starbucks. I would have flown there myself.
I got to tell you, there's a Dan Patrick show. We had pretty much every day there was a gigantic feast of barbecue food outside. And we'd have like spare ribs, and Dan would provide like, I know it's Thursday, but here's barbecued filet mignon sliders. Like every day of the week, there was free food.
We have that here.
We do.
No.
Where is it?
Yeah. The TV show, one thing, Dan did many things right, but he made sure like that we were well fed.
Yeah.
The key to having a happy staff is to give them tons of free food, not to have $1.60 old Cinnabon.
Try to buy breakfast every now and then, once a week.
No. I understand. But Dan had Traeger Grills sponsor us. We need a food sponsor. We needed Cinnabon to bring us fresh Cinnabons. How about that?
I shouldn't have said the name of this Cinnabon.
Yeah. Not that Cinnabon needs marketing. I mean, everyone who's ever been to a mall or an airport knows Cinnabon.
It's impossible to get out without
95% of our audience.
I know. Man, I love a Cinnabon. Dexter Henry has headlines. Good morning.
Good morning. Got some headlines. Rough start to the season for the Miami Marlins. They're now 0-4 after being swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates. However, Jazz Chisholm, he's got some thoughts, and he believes that he understands the reason why the team is off to a slow start.
Couldn't see. That's all. I feel like the shadows was we're not used to playing shadows. We normally play inside every day, So when we get a shadow for 3 of the 4 games at home for the first time of the season, it's kind of hard to adjust to, We're used to the roof being closed and being able to see every at-bat. It's kind of tough to see when it's black out there and facing a guy throwing 101,
Okay, so here's the thing, guys. Due to unpredictable weather in Miami throughout the season, the Marlins opened the roof far less than most MLB teams in 2021 and 2022. They played under an open roof just 5 times. So are you buying Chisholm's reason for the Marlins getting outscored 31-17 in their season opening series against the Pirates?
I didn't even know that roof was retractable. I swear to you. I had no idea. It's never open.
The only way I knew it was retractable is because on MLB The Show, the game, you can leave the roof open.
You can, right.
And that's the reason. I think shadows are a real thing. The problem is he plays in the NL East, so there's shadows all over because those other ballparks are all open air. So you think you've been on the road. I don't know. I'm actually going to buy this from Jazz Chisholm.
Okay.
It's weird. I just noticed this from one of our local teams here. The way that they built the stadium faces, I don't know how they could have known this, but as the sun is setting, as it generally does around first pitch or thereabouts, this glare comes off of an office building that's in the outfield directly down to the batter's box. Only the Mets.
Oh,
only the Mets.
I knew exactly. I knew exactly.
It wasn't the Yankees.
I knew exactly.
Definitely not the Yankees.
I've seen it.
I'm sorry. Back to you, Dexter.
No, that's fine. Sticking in baseball, the Athletics, they might be staying in Oakland a bit longer than expected. According to ESPN, the city of Oakland is expected to offer the Athletics a 5-year lease extension this week. Oakland's proposal reportedly include an opt-out clause after 3 seasons and requires the team to pay $97 million as part of an extension fee. Now, we know the A's are in the process of relocating to Vegas, but construction is yet to get underway on the new stadium in Vegas.
Oh, the Sydney Opera House that they're building that the A's are going to play on?
I think we need to make a show decision. We are never going to do an A's story again.
Never.
I just honestly, like, how many times have they been moving to Vegas or not moving to Vegas? It goes nowhere. No. It's just spinning in place forever and ever.
Do you know the earliest that the ballpark could be ready in Vegas? Do you know when that would be?
2045.
That's the expiration date on this big Texas cinema. What is the? No, I have no idea.
It's 2028.
Okay, so 4 years from now.
Why does it take 4 years to build a stadium?
It's Vegas.
Well, the construction hasn't started, and they have to tear down the site that they're going to build the park on.
Tearing down, that takes 7 minutes.
I understand that.
We were just there. It's the Tropicana. We were right across the street
right across
from
from
it.
it. Right,
it looked very vulnerable to being teared down. It's not a new building.
Hey, by the way,
I think I could have blown it down like a big bad wolf, and that thing would have came down.
Just party really hard all day, and the whole thing.
Bun. You could have thrown a cinnamon bun at the thing.
Yeah, throw a couple of these big Texas ones right at it, shatter all the windows. But do you remember when we had Murray the Magician, who joined us in Vegas?
Yeah.
Now he is at Tropicana. And Murray was cool. He came on the show. Dexter, he showed us all these magic tricks. Really cool dude.
Awesome.
The longer this goes, the more shows Murray gets to do. So let's hope the A's never get there.
You know, we got to root for Murray, but they're in a time crunch because the Oakland Coliseum, the lease there, is set to expire after this season.
Yeah, and it's overflowing with sewage. I mean, there's a couple of things wrong with the Coliseum.
I love that that Oakland is charging these guys $96 million for an extension on the lease. Yeah. Good for them. Good for them. Those guys wanted to leave. That's what happens.
I love it. They said it's $96 million, and it doesn't matter if you're here for 5 years or 3. It's still $96 million.
You're going to pay.
By the way, I'm reading that the Tropicana is closing its doors for good tomorrow. Today, actually, as we're speaking, it's the last day.
What?
Oh, so now
damn it,
Murray is not going to.
He's going to be fine. I mean, he's awesome. He's got his big YouTube page and everything, so he's going to be just fine.
I was going to say, I was fully ready to create a sabotage the Tropicana demolition campaign to make sure Murray can keep working there because Murray's the best.
Murray should try to go working Caesars.
I'm sure he thought of that.
I'm sure he would love that.
Sure he loved
And Jim Grand. There's some other things you could do.
Somebody's got to book him.
Yeah, according to this, by the way, the demolition will be in October, which would be super fun to see. And I mean, not that I want to see the Trop go down, but demolitions are cool. And it closes tomorrow. I wonder if this A's stay of execution changes things.
I wonder if that does.
Is that a must-watch video? The implosion videos of anything?
Oh, those are really cool.
Blow up the casinos and
stadiums.
Stuff,
a lot of stadiums get blown up. You know, one thing about it, we were just in Vegas. There's 45 new casinos. Just tear down and build a new casino. They seem to be doing well.
Murray can perform at the demolition.
Watch the whole casino.
Yeah. Here's the building. Then flash a robe, and all of a sudden it's gone. David Copperfield probably did that.
That's magic.
You come back, he's covered in dust. Like,
that's a great
Chris
bit.
Angel.
Yeah.
I like that.
Nothing to see here. Just the whole building's gone.
Did David Copperfield make a building disappear? That was one of his most famous acts.
Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. So someone can make the Trop disappear.
Somebody can do it.
The A's. Somebody keeps making the A's relocation project disappear.
Rob Manfred.
No, he makes A's wins disappear.
Oh, you're blaming the A's on Manfred on the A's?
Yes.
100%. Yeah.
I think it's their owner owns the Gap, right?
He's also terrible.
All those people bought those jeans.
He's allowing that owner to stay in business. That guy should not be in Major League Baseball.
So you say Manfred should fire him?
He should lead the charge to get him out of there.
I'd like that. One thing we got, guys, boxing. We've got the upcoming Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight this year, but Canelo Alvarez, he's not feeling it. He has no interest in watching the super middleweight champion. He spoke to TMZ Sports and says the upcoming bout is bad for the sport of boxing. He said this, quote, "Not at all. No, nothing. I think Netflix is good for boxing, but that special fight, I think Netflix is doing something wrong there. I think Netflix being involved, yes, is good, but not in that kind of fight. I think it's more of a show than a fight." Do you guys agree with Alvarez about the Paul versus Tyson fight?
Well, of course, it's a sideshow. But Canelo Alvarez, what are you, new around here? Yeah. I mean, boxing, you're like me that Tyson isn't boxing a kangaroo. He's actually boxing a real person. I mean,
like Tyson's 58 years old.
He's walking with a cane.
Now, we know Alvarez doesn't respect Paul because Paul's kind of called him out and tried to bait him into fighting him. So he's just...
But Alvarez said that he wouldn't rule out fighting Paul in the future.
You know why, though?
Yeah, for the money.
Yeah, there you go.
Alvarez will take a $10,000 check to sit in the front row of that event. No doubt about it.
By the way, I like that he insulted Netflix, but sort of left it open for Netflix to pay him at some point, which is totally Canelo. And by the way, the first Triple G fight was more fixed than anything we're seeing this Tyson Jake. But that was the most ridiculous call in the history of the sport.
We'll agree with you. I do agree with you on that.
I will say this: if Canelo Alvarez gets into a boxing match with Jake Paul, we're gonna have to detach or reattach Jake Paul's head onto his body. Canelo Alvarez will knock him into next week.
Yeah.
You need to wait for Canelo Alvarez to get a lot older to even make this a fight.
I know.
Like a lot older.
Because it could be really dangerous.
He's only 33. Canelo Alvarez? I thought he was older than that. Oh, boy.
No, he took that Floyd Mayweather fight when he was way too young.
Yeah, he's been in his prime for like a decade.
Dexter, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, we've got a head-scratching move from one NFL team. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Pilati coming out with a controversial, not one hit wonder. Didn't make the bracket. Rob Bass, it takes two, because Rob Bass had 2 hit songs that cannot make the Maggie and Perloff one hit wonder bracket.
We spent many man hours on that.
EJ's like, my dad was a huge Rob Bass fan. Did you say he knew Rob Bass?
No, he wasn't. Well, yes, he was a fan, but his cousin was very good friends with Rob Bass.
What happened to Rob Bass? How could you write a song this good and not have 8 hits? That's the amazing thing to me. This was basically a theme when I was a kid. Oh, my God. This song might be the only rap song I have memorized, although I don't have it memorized anymore. Anyway, so one hit wonder. You can go to our Twitter feed at Maggie and Pearl. There are some heavyweight one hit wonders battling each other. You vote. Jenny 8675309 is emerging as the NC State of this tournament because it is an 11 seed that's going far. Actually, it's a 10 seed. So NC State, DJ Burns, it's not good enough that he is winning basketball games. Half my Twitter feed, which is all NFL guys, wants him to play NFL football. Let me read a couple. Albert Breer, our buddy, Sports Illustrated. DJ Burns is 6'9" and 275 pounds with a massive frame that could easily carry more weight. I don't know where Albert gets that. How did someone not try to turn him into a left tackle? Matt Miller says, so how are DJ Burns' NBA prospects? Because my guy could play some pigskin if he wanted. But then today, Peter Schrager, NFL Network, took it to the next level. Really the next level. Spoke to and texted multiple scouts GMs about DJ Burns as an NFL offensive tackle prospect. He's listed at 6'9", but probably is 6'7". That's amazing that NFL guys know that. A-plus footwork, would get a big turnout and potentially lots of dollars if he participated in a pro day workout the week after the Final Four. What do you think, Maggie? Should DJ Burns, the NC State big man, try out for the NFL?
Okay, well, here's my question. If he loved football, wouldn't he just be playing football?
Well, true, but then we've had a lot of guys who've gone from college basketball to football. Tony Gonzalez, who actually played football. Antonio Gates never played football in college at Kent State, star basketball player.
Well, I think like Julius Peppers, like he definitely played both. Like you could have played both at NC State. It's not like the football team was going to be, you weren't be able to get on that team. No offense.
I don't think Gates played any basketball. I'm not sure that played any football. Did Rico Gathers play at Baylor? I'm not sure he played at all.
I'm not sure how much Rico Gathers played, but when I started seeing these tweets about DJ Burns playing football, remember one of the most famous Cinderellas, George Mason, had a star, Jai Lewis, who then, after his career ended in the George Mason Final Four run, was signed to play in the NFL by the New York Giants. And he was a similar guy, hefty guy, about 275, 6'7", and they thought they could turn him into an offensive lineman, and that did not work out very well.
And the Giants' offensive line woes continue, going on 2 decades now. But here's the thing. I think you have to have a love for it, don't you?
No, not at all.
You don't have to have a passion to play football to play football?
If he's good at left tackle, which is the money position, no, I don't think you need a love for it, because I think you need the body.
Right, but again, wouldn't he have gone the football? This can't be the first time somebody has said, hey, you know what? You should put your hand in the dirt and play football because of your size. Like, he's got to have heard this before. Meanwhile, he's a grad transfer. He's been playing basketball his whole life.
Well, but he's never been this high profile. I don't think the NFL was watching DJ Burns as a junior. I mean, I think he's gotten a lot of A lot of love. And you know what? I'm looking at some of the other players. He's built a little bit like Julius Peppers, not quite as cut as Julius Peppers. Right. Darren Fells, remember him? He was a college basketball player. I think that you could do this. Why not? If there's, I don't know what he makes as a basketball player. What's his future?
Well,
Europe?
It doesn't probably look like the NBA. I mean, he's a little bit older now. I mean, maybe, but it likely would probably be Europe as opposed to you're assuming that he's now going to be like a franchise left tackle. Like, come on. That's a little bit of a leap, don't you think?
I don't think you need love of football to transition to be playing left tackle.
Oh, I do. I
love
think
of football? They're offensive linemen.
No, I know that not everybody has to be obsessed with the sport to play it at a high level, but I do think to separate yourself at that, at the pros, loving the game, I think does help.
So explain in Antonio Gates.
I think he found a passion for the game.
Because the dollars were there. I think, also, too, everybody loves football. If you're good at it, why not?
You're taking a lot of hits and a lot of punishment. Your body's getting sacrificed. You got to want it.
Not offensive linemen. You're not getting the blow-up hits.
I mean, maybe not, but you're still getting contact on every single play, and you're getting Nick Bosa coming around the edge on you?
Yeah. Trust me, you're not getting any contact on Nick Bosa. DJ Burns is not touching Nick Bosa.
Well, then he's not going to be making millions and millions of dollars at left tackle.
Yeah, that's a question. Can he catch any of these guys? The thing is, once you run a 40, and I don't think DJ Burns runs a fast 40. Probably be like 5'8".
40s, who cares about that?
I'm just saying he doesn't. I think people underestimate how athletic those offensive linemen are.
Well, that's, I think, why they love basketball players. We're talking about DJ Burns. Now, a lot of football people are saying he should have a pro day to be an offensive lineman, 6'9", more like 6'7", 245. Is that it?
70.
270?
Yeah.
Oof. I think there's more. I think there's a little more to it, but obviously people love the footwork. If you've got your light on your feet, like you need to be for basketball, what could you do on a football field?
Looking at I don't think Mo Alley Cox played in college football.
Well,
what that was at SSU, that random, oh man, I should have picked him up on my fantasy team week 12 when he has a touchdown. Mo Alley Cox. Yeah, Julius Thomas was a basketball star. It has been done. It's a lot of tight ends, I'm noticing. That is the position. Not a lot of left tackles. Left tackle takes a lot of, I think what you're saying I agree with. It takes a lot of technique.
Yeah,
it takes years to learn.
I'm not getting in trouble with the offensive line community again. They already got me once when I said you could learn. When I said that Jason Peters could come into the Cowboys and fit in fine in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden I had Mark Schlereth calling me out.
It's almost all tight ends. So, and Julius Peppers, who was a defensive end. I don't know. If I'm DJ Burns, I definitely do this workout. Why not? What do you have to lose?
Well, if you don't like football.
No, everybody likes football. Why would you not like football?
I don't know, but not everyone might have a passion for it. Quickly on this one, I saw your football team made a trade over the weekend. Haason Reddick goes to the Jets. Here's a question. Why would Philadelphia be sending away pass rushers?
Well, they were not keeping Haason. Haason Reddick was not playing this year in Philadelphia. That was kind of well known. He wants a $20 million plus contract, and he's about to turn 30, and that is not what winning franchises do. You don't pay the guy now. Also, you saw the Eagles defense last year. There was no one safer than the opposing quarterback against the Eagles in the second half of last season. So Reddick might have had some numbers, but he was not effective. To me, this is a non-loss. I'm not worried. I love him because he went to Temple, but other than that, no, this is not a big deal.
And overpay a guy that's not effective, that's the Jets' MO. So, yeah.
So he's got a big bag coming his way?
Fits.
Yeah.
It basically was a trade, right? It was the Jets let Bryce Huff go to the Eagles, 3 years, $51 million, who's a younger pass rusher, 25, had 10 sacks last year, and the Jets get the older, expensive guy. So if you pull back, who looks like the winner there?
Yeah, but just really quickly, the Jets, chose not to pay a guy who basically was only playing on third down. I mean, he just doesn't play a high percentage of snaps, whereas Haason Reddick is playing a lot more.
Reddick's not great. He's not an all-around player.
He's one of the reasons why he got to the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's a long time ago in NFL terms.
That's it. We got to go. EJ Stewart, Peopleati, thank you so much. To Dexter Henry in today, thank you. Andrew Kaplan as well. Weedo's Coffee Drinkers, you know who you are. Thank you. We will see you tomorrow. Peace.
You're in a 5-minute break.